Town Board meeting to order. And the first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, and so the first order of business now that will be the public hearing that we're going to conduct to consider a approval of a accessory structure closer to the right-of-way than the primary residence pursuant to section 6.9.3.6 of the town code, and that's located at 1750 Morgan Avenue. And so the way we'll conduct this public hearing is that we'll have the folks that are proposing this explain the situation that they're requesting, and then I think we should hear from the Planning Commission, and then we'd like to open it to public comment and let members of the public have expressed their opinion on the proposal, since this is a public hearing. So why don't you folks maybe, if you wouldn't mind heading up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then I think our recording secretary already has this on the screen, so you can just kind of use that as a reference.
Perfect. Good evening. I'm William Kunze, Bill Kunze, resident 1750 Morgan Avenue. This is my wife, Catherine. Good evening, supervisors, neighbors, residents of West Lakeland. This evening, we're coming before you with our proposal to replace our existing accessory structure, demolish that, and replace it with a new pole frame building. In the general location of the existing structure, except it does come a little closer to the road, we would be within the regular setback, or the necessary setback of greater than 50 feet back. 52 is what we have on the proposal here on the northeast corner, and then on the southeast corner would be about 70 feet off the property line. It is currently tucked, that location is selected because there's existing structure there, so it continues the layout of the property. The infrastructure is in place for that location. Our lot tends to funnel to the back corner. So as we go around the curve, it funnels to the back corner. And we have the concern that if we were to place the building structure back the necessary at least 80 feet into the lot, we would be needing to regrade approximately half an acre, also potentially disturbing the drainage of water to neighbors, which could negatively impact them as well. So that is one of the main reasons we want to keep it up where we have it proposed as shown here. Can we scroll the screen up a little bit more so the other property line, maybe? Is it going to cooperate that way? So the other way to get the down. There. Yeah, there. So also the current location would, we wouldn't need to move utilities at this point in time at that spot. How did we get here? Well, we started reading the ordinance. The ordinance did read as the front yard setback. It was not clear to us on a curved lot what is considered the front yard. So we went to the Planning Commission in June asking that question. They did come back with the answer of assuming a arc running through the property of that 80 feet. Therefore, the building would fall into that front right-of-way portion. And then we came here last month with the review of our application. Out of that, there was some questions that were brought to our attention about locate. What were the questions? One of the questions was, how are we going to get it to match? Or we're going to complement, post-frame building, we're gonna do a beige color, do a blue roof, blue trim, blue wainscot on the bottom. And then that's gonna complement the colors on the house. The west side of our house does actually have a beige, vertical siding today as well. Also, there's a precedence of other houses in the area within a quarter, actually within a third mile of our physical residence, where there's a pole building structure closer to the road than the primary residence, and they're of complementary elements. One of them being a blue building with yellow siding, the other being a white pole building with red brick facade. So there's that part of it. That was one of the questions, was us to provide examples of precedents of existing scenarios. Then, yeah, can you scroll down in the PDF to the images? So those were the existing properties. And keep going. Here's 3D rendering of the proposed building as viewed from the street view. So this would be the corner, the east side of the building that would be facing the road, the top picture there, and then the front view is would be inside the property, hidden. That's already behind trees. We do intend to plant arborvitae or some other fast-growing coniferous tree to create a shield from the road to the building as well on the roadside. Scroll down a little bit more. One of the other questions is, what does our existing property look like? And here's the image of our house from the driveway. And then here's the image of the west side of our house today. I also took the time to put together some images of each of the immediate neighbors from their driveways on what it looks like looking into our property from their driveways. So these images here, right, the description of each location, starting on the west side of our property and moving to the east side of our property, left to right, top to bottom. So we can want to scroll through those, show those different angles on what the property looks like today and what the visibility from the road could be as well. I think that covers most of everything that has been questioned along the way. Hopefully we've covered enough of that. Questions, comments, concerns?
Can we ask questions?
I don't know. I've never been asked that before. Sure. I mean, what's your question? Why don't you direct it
Bill, I
to
thought
us?
it's about blue.
Actually, you're right. I did say blue roof. The roof is not blue. The roof is going to be bronze. So
And
a
the
bronze.
walls, what color are the walls?
The walls will be beige.
So they'll match the house.
Yep. There'll be complementary colors. So the shingles on the house today are a brown shingle. That's why we picked the bronze roof, to kind of get a corresponding color there.
You
Not
heard me
really.
when you said blue.
Yeah. Sorry, it was bronze. And then it will be blue wainscot on the bottom. So 3-foot blue
Can I ask
wainscot.
just one other question?
Yep.
I'm 2 doors down from you. But,
Yep.
I know you've got kind of woods in the wet spot. So you don't want to go there.
Yep.
But you couldn't flip the northwest portion of it back a little bit to hide it from the road a little bit. I mean, you've got the side towards us is, I think you said 70 feet. The other side's 50.
Yeah.
That can't go back to be 70 feet as well. Or a
It
little-
could be. I think that we might when we finally get some excavation, then there could be some consideration to tilt it a little bit more. Our initial proposal was to keep the same orientation of the existing building.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not trying to nitpick, I just
Yep.
thought it fit the curve better, but I know the entryway wouldn't fit beside your house.
yeah, so, yep, we've played with a couple different minor configuration changes there. And, but becomes a grade difference. We're out that way as well. The more we move to the west, the more it starts sloping away as well. So as soon as we move a little more to the west, we'll hit the next 2-foot contour, in grade as well.
Okay. Here's the thing. So if people have comments to make, I'm going to invite them to do that after these presentations. If you have a question for some clarity, okay. Sure, go ahead.
Materials, that kind of stuff. And then the size was 42 by 72.
Yes.
And does that include the lead-to, or how's that worked into the equation, and that's all with the township rules?
Yep, it's all within the square footage allowed on the 3%. The lean-to's is included in that number.
Lean-to is not part of the 42 feet.
What?
Lean-to is not part of the 40.
Right,
The lean-to is an extra 10 feet out from the building towards our house.
yes.
But you're still within the 3%.
But it's still
But,
within the 3%,
yes.
including, when you include the lean-to square footage, it's still within the 3%.
Well, what is that?
When you include the lean-to square footage, it's still within the 3%.
Is that part of the 42, or is that another? 10
That's-
feet more, or what?
That's
How
beyond.
big is the lean-to?
The lean-to will be 16 feet by 10 feet.
10 feet wide?
So 10 feet wide, and then just 16 feet along the side.
And then what are the regs on the siding and material like? That's all good? Okay, township.
Well, I'll answer that for you. Yeah, the ordinance says the design, colors, exterior finish, design materials, exterior finish, and colors of the accessory structure shall be similar to or complementary of those used in the principal residence. That's one requirement. The other requirement is that the following materials shall not be used for the exterior of an accessory structure closer to the right-of-way than the primary residence. And then it goes, panels made of non-architectural metal, fiberglass, vinyl, resin, and so on. The only one that really matters here is panels made of non-architectural metal. It also prohibits unpainted or galvanized metal panels. It prohibits all those kinds of materials on the exterior.
What he's doing, is that fall inside our your restrictions?
I would actually argue it does fall outside the restriction, but
Doesn't get-
it does. I think it falls outside the restriction. That's my opinion, but that's just my opinion, and
Don't we have regulations that they have to follow? I'm just
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a reasonable question, but let's get into discussion further. If you have questions of the applicants, let's go ahead and get that clarification right now, and then we can have more public discussion. Okay. Anybody else have a question for clarification on what's being proposed? If not, I would invite the planning commission to give us the benefit of their analysis and thoughts. And then I'll open it up for more public comment.
Do you want us to stay here? Or-
You can take a seat, I guess, but if somebody has a question, obviously.
We'll just step in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The planning commission reviewed this application or pre-application actually in the June meeting. And the discussion really revolved around whether this was considered in front of the residents because of the curved lot, and we came to consensus on that interpretation. It is indeed in front of the residents.
Can you speak up?
Yeah, speak up.
Is the mic on?
Is that mic on? It's on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so the discussion at the planning commission meeting in June revolved around the interpretation of our ordinance of whether it's in front of the residents, and it is, it's considered in front because of the the curved street, and an arc is drawn parallel to the street, and then the nearest point of the house, right? So it's between the street and the house, yes. And it's allowed by our ordinance, it's allowed with these performance standards that are additional to an outbuilding that would be built behind the house. And Phil just explained what they are. It's of design or materials that's complementary to the residents. And the planning commission recommends approval of this. And then, of course, taking into consideration the input of the residents in the neighborhood at this hearing. So, and that's our recommendation. It's a rather large building, and there's a fair amount of discussion about what it looks like and what the finishes are like on it. So our suggestion was, of course, bring it to the public hearing and see what people have to say about this, and address those concerns.
Can you tell us what is outside the regulations?
Nothing. No, I mean, it's complementary to the house. It's within the setback requirements. And it is allowed to have we have, I don't know, probably hundreds of garages in front of houses in our community.
Council,
And many variances over the past several years that were all approved.
council has a comment, I think.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair and Board, and public, I just want to point out that as a public hearing, it's not really a debate and question and answer and back and forth. The Planning Commission's giving its report. That's a report to the board, and then when you open up the public hearing, Mr. Chair, then you'll have an opportunity to present your information to the board. But just so you know, this really can't work as a free-flowing question and answer session. So,
It doesn't.
thank you. It is not a free-flowing answer and question and answer session.
It's an opportunity for the public to voice their opinion on the matter, and once we've heard the proposal and so forth. So you will have that opportunity.
Any questions from the board, planning commission?
I don't have any.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your work, Mark.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, let's open it to the public for comment. And the way we're going to do this is that if folks would like to make a comment, and I do encourage that. I see a number of folks here, and some of you may be here to speak on this at this public hearing, and I encourage that and welcome it. And what I'd ask you to do is step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, so we know that you're a West Lakeland resident and so forth, and then please do give us the benefit of your thoughts on it. Would anybody like to make any public comment?
And Jim Tully is neighbor to the south.
In your
And
address?
I'm his wife, Peg Tully. We live right next door to them. They're in front of us, yes, as it curves around. Can you write your street address, please? 1690 Morgan Avenue.
My question just is, if there, I know that everybody can have a pole barn. I'm just questioning the materials that are used. Are they within the specs of the township rules? I thought I had heard that they have to match the siding, or what's on the house has to match the pole barn. And I'm just wondering if that's still a fact.
Well, yes, the way it works is this: if you build your structure behind the primary residence, in other words, at a distance further from the right-of-way than the primary residence, then there really isn't any restriction I'm aware of on
Okay.
siding and so forth. But if you want to build your structure closer to the right-of-way than the primary residence, then our ordinance says that the design, materials, exterior finish, and colors of the accessory structure shall be similar to or complementary of those used in the primary residence. So it's got to kind of match the primary residence is the way I view that. And the other provision is that the following materials shall not be used for the exterior of an accessory structure. Then it goes on to say panels made of non-architectural metal, fiberglass or vinyl resin, unpainted or galvanized metal panels, plastic, tarps made of plastic, canvas or vinyl, or other or non-exterior grade plywood or similar products. So those are prohibited materials
Right.
on the siding of a structure that's closer to the right-of-way than the primary residence. But obviously, if you build your accessory structure at a distance greater than the primary
Right,
residence,
which
no
he
such
isn't, though.
restriction.
Which he isn't, so that's what I'm
Correct.
just clarifying, but as long as he's in the regs of what the township is asking for. I mean, how about the roof, and is there a height restriction? I mean, does anything go? I mean, could it be 2-story? I mean, because it's gonna be 22 feet high at least to the peak of the building when it's,
I'm not sure what the height restriction is. I don't know if anybody from the planning commission knows. or
It has to
maybe
be
you-
single story, 36 feet is the maximum height,
Okay,
single story, yeah.
thank you.
so it can be as high as it wants if it's 1 story.
30, what did you say, 30?
36, 35
35 feet?
feet is,
Oh, 35 feet high?
is the maximum building height for
Oh.
any residence or accessory structure.
All right. That's it?
So is this just we just ask questions right
No, no, actually, what this is really supposed to be is you're expressing your opinion about the request. I mean, you can ask
I
questions if you wish, but
My question is, why does it have to be so large? And why does it have to be so tall? Because where you're going to be located, it will be right there out in the open because of the curve of the street. It will be right there. It's huge. If you're only gonna have an office and you said you're only gonna have a batting cage,
Yep, so half the
why do we need such a big, gigantic pole barn? And why does it have to be so tall? I was just curious.
Yep, good question.
I mean,
So.
okay, that's the only
sure, sure.
question.
Okay.
That way folks who are watching this can hear you.
So why the size of the structure that we selected? We have 3 boys, grades 4th grade, 7th grade, 10th grade. All of them are into baseball, and also into basketball. And we wanted to provide them an opportunity to, so half the building is going to be a place for them to hang out with their friends, batting cage, basketball court on one half of it. Replacing on the other half of it is replacing our existing garage space, right? So storage in use for, regular garage materials. And then part of it, we also are planning to use just for our home offices, just as space, because we work hybrid work schedules, and it's getting tiring sharing the guest room and sharing the living room. And 5 years into that, we're ready for our own little private space while working from home.
More specifically to the length, yes, we've stated batting cage, but there's also the element of we want the boys to be able to use it for a pitching lane, and the length that they need to get to is 60 feet.
60 feet 6 inches plus
Plus
room
their
for
arm span.
catchers and arms.
And so that is where we got to the length, is we wanted to be able to make it long enough that they could actually practice live pitching in that building.
In 8-foot increments.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Steve and my wife Judy Cook, 1680. So we're 2 doors down. I just have my opinion. Everybody wants a shed out there. I don't blame you, Bill, and you guys are scout leaders. You got kids out there all the time. I just wish it wasn't so big. I wish I couldn't see it from my front door, because nobody else's shed out there I can see from my front door. I can see them from my back door, but I wish I couldn't see it. Wish it wasn't so big. Wish it wasn't right there on the street. I feel bad for the Tullies because it's right out their window. So, otherwise, do what you want. I don't blame you. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Comment from the public? Anybody else wish to speak to the issue?
Can I
Sure.
So I guess that's another point on why we've selected this location, which I maybe forgot to mention before. If we were to put this back 80 feet, it's going to be in your yards even more than its current location as proposed. Because if we come back 80 feet, it's going to move right over the electrical main. It's going to be closer to Tully's property, and it'll be more intrusive to everyone. It would still run north-south as our intended purpose of it. It would be back 80 feet, and then, right, then we can go as close to 25 feet from the property line without any comment. But we're trying to be considerate of our neighbors by moving it into its current location and giving it a tree shield as well. Because otherwise it will be a bigger eyesore without any comment.
Any other public comment? Anybody else like to have the board hear from them? If not, I'll close the public hearing and we'll consider this as a board. So I suppose we should probably, well, I guess we can just discuss it as a board at this point. Does anybody have any questions for the applicants or comment on the approval of it?
Might be my opinion, but I'm having trouble with the blue.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I do have one question for the applicants, and that is this. This structure is 52 by 72, and how does that compare to the size of the current structure that you're replacing? What's the size of the current structure? Okay. All right. And I'll also make the observation, I went out there and looked at this place a little bit, and the current structure is, I guess he's seeing about half the size. It's got similar siding right now. I think it's got cedar siding. It's got an asphalt roof. This new structure that's proposed is essentially an agricultural building. It's a pole barn. And here are the problems that I have with this. First, and I'm kind of glad the contour map is still up there, I don't really see the impracticality to locating it a little bit south and a little bit west, which would get it out of the difficulty with the proximity to the right-of-way. Those are very gentle slopes. It's a slight grade. Now, if you move it directly back from the road, your point is you're moving it into an area of a steep grade. And that is a steep grade right by the house there. But if you move it south a ways and then back, those are all very gentle slopes there. Those are 2-foot contours that you're seeing in the map there. And the grade is not extreme. And therefore, I don't believe that it meets the standard of being impractical to locate it further back than the house. I also don't believe that it conforms to section 6.9.5 of our ordinance, which, as I've read a couple of times, requires that the design, exteriors, finish, and color be similar to or complementary of the house. I mean, complementary, I guess, is in the eye of the beholder, but I just don't think a pole barn looks much like a residence, a primary residence. I guess maybe that's my opinion, but I don't think there's much similarity there. Furthermore, I think that the fact that this is it's a very residential, urban-looking area. People mow their lawns right up to the street here. This is not a kind of a wooded, rural, agricultural-looking area. This is a very well-kept yards and places, and it's. I just think that the pole barn doesn't fit there. But finally, the fact is that the panels are going to be made of non-architectural metal, which is specifically prohibited by the statute in this context. The non-architectural metal being pole barn siding. And so I don't think it meets the terms of the ordinance in either of those respects. And accordingly, I'm going to move that we deny this application and that you reconsider where you want to put it or what kind of siding you want to put on it or something. I mean, if you move it south and west a little ways, you won't have to ask our permission to do anything. If you decide to use some kind of a siding material and roofing that is similar to what's used on the house, you'll meet that standard, although I would argue you still don't meet the impracticality standard that's built into the ordinance. And so those are the reasons that I would move to oppose it. So I'll make that motion. There may or may not be a second. I don't know what people want to do here. if there's no second, then that motion just dies and we could move on. Somebody else can make a different motion if they want to.
The whole story here, I came in late,
Okay.
so.
What do you want to know?
I guess I sort of agree with you on what you've said. And to build that to match your house, I think it cost a lot of money. And the easiest way would be to move it back some.
Closer to the neighbors.
Pardon me?
I mean, that's closer to the neighbors to the south. Right, so here's the thing. So if you attach it to the house, you can do whatever you want. It can be a big red, whatever. If you move it closer to closer to your neighbors to the south, it can be whatever you want. I don't know about architect. I mean, metal siding is architectural. I don't know why we wrote architectural metal in there. That's not very clear. So I disagree with Phil on that. This metal siding, I mean, you could side your house in the same siding and that would match, but that's kind of an ugly house situation. So, I mean, it's complicated. I don't love the blue. I think that's kind of out of it doesn't match the house. If everything was beige, that would probably look better. But if there's other pole barns in the neighborhood, that does kind of meet the fit and finish of the neighborhood. Now, I would say full screening would be mandatory, I think.
If you'd like to make a motion to that effect, please feel free to do that. But or either one of you wants to make a motion to, either approve or disapprove, we have to take some action on it.
I would move that the building needs to match the colors of the house more closely. And then all east and south sides need full screening.
So you would move
Approval under those conditions.
with those conditions.
I didn't quite hear all.
You're not coming across that.
The colors need to match the house more. And full screening on the south and is that east side? East side. So you can't see it from the road. So I think there's already screening to the north side, and then there's a tree line on the south side of the property. I don't know if it's on your property or.
Yeah.
Okay, how tall are those trees? And with that, okay, yeah. So you can.
If I just would not have to move south. I mean, it's closer to my house.
Right,
I mean,
so that-
no matter what, we're not sizing 42 by 72 building.
Right. I'm proposing that we keep it in the same location, which is the furthest from your property.
Right.
But if they moved back towards your property, south and east, then it could be whatever it wanted, so.
He'd have to go.
South.
That's why I just
South and
would- I
west.
mean, If he even moves it back to the south and to the west, it's still gonna be a 42 by 72 foot building right in the middle of that arc of the road, not hiding it at all. So if you're trying to move it, to try and hide it, you're not gonna do it.
It's a residential
No.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
not an industrial warehouse.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, I'm just saying, I just do not have it close to my house. I'll object to that.
Hence the full screening. Are there windows on the building?
Yes, the
Okay.
windows on the east side,
East side.
along the road side.
Do you want to go back to the view of it?
I have it.
You have it, okay.
That would be the view from the south and from the east. The top picture. The middle picture is the view from the north, which would be leading like to the side and back of the house. So you come in the driveway, that's the view from the driveway. And then the bottom picture is the interior side into the rest of the property. So that would be the west wall.
I know on Mendel, they have a couple real beautiful, but they're stick built, but they look real nice. They're right along the road on Mendel. They're parallel with the road, and they look real nice. Yeah, you know, they're not 22 feet here, and they're not, you know, they look real nice, but it's not a pole.
Okay,
I don't think that helps with the property value. No.
okay, so, all right, folks, you had the, the public hearing, was your opportunity to talk, but, do we have a motion? Are we making a motion here to dispose of this in some way?
There was a motion to change the colors to match the house more,
A motion
Closely.
to approve this. with the-
approve.
With, on the condition that the, what?
More close to additional screening be provided on the southeast side.
Oh, all right, is that motion gonna be seconded by anybody?
One more question. It's gonna be taller than your house.
What's that? No, I'm not gonna second that. I disagree with you. You do? Oh, yeah.
It'll be taller. Match it, not by your directions.
Okay, so, do you wanna second it?
Sure.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve the, structure, being closer to the roadway than the, as outlined here, location-wise, with those conditions that were incorporated into the
what
motion.
is a revised?
You have a comment?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair and Board, so you do have a resolution. I apologize, it got too late. So there are currently 3 conditions. So I would see the 2 conditions that were just articulated as being in addition to the 3 that are in the resolution.
Okay. And so what are the conditions that are in that?
Sure, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to read those. Building permit must be obtained for the shed, and the applicant is required to I have application there. Applicant is required to comply with all applicable federal, state, and local laws, rules, regulations, and ordinances, including complying with all applicable setbacks and obtaining such other permits or permissions that may be required. That's 1. 2, the shed must be located and constructed in accordance with the attached plans. 3, the applicant is responsible for reimbursing the town for its professional costs incurred in reviewing and issuing this approval.
Okay. And then to those conditions would be added the 2 conditions that Supervisor Dana talked about?
Correct.
Okay. And would you accept that as a friendly amendment to your motion?
Yes, my only concern is with the color. I feel like there's like a reapplication or revision process that needs to be like resubmission. Is that part of that? Is that an option?
So, Mr. Chair and Board, placing an additional condition on an approval wouldn't require reapplication. I guess if the board is of the mind to ask the applicant to come back with a different proposal, then it would be a matter of denying this now and encouraging them to reapply with whatever parameters you want them to consider.
And the purpose in doing that would be so that the board could review. I think that what you were getting at, Rachel, was the idea that the board should be able to review the specifics that would meet your
Yeah.
restrictions.
I think your question is being covered by ordinance 6953. Applicant shall submit details demonstrating compliance with this section when applying for the building permit for accessory structures. An applicant or the building inspector may request a design review and recommendation from the.
And I don't think that doesn't actually quite cover I don't think what Supervisor Dana is getting at. What Supervisor Dana would like to do is to see specifics as to how you would intend to comply with the restrictions that she is proposing. So the board could consider those as opposed to the planning commission. I think that's what you were getting at.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, certainly that's an option too. You can say, let's hold this over till the next meeting and ask the applicant to come back with some detailed proposals to accommodate what you've just indicated. In that way, you have that information before you make a final decision on this.
We could defer the vote to the next.
Yes, as long as we're good with the 60-day rule, which I assume we are, but
May I ask a clarifying question? With the color matching the house in what we had submitted, we had also included a proposal that we would be, we would consider changing the color of the house, restaining it to be a beige that would match this building. Would that meet your requirements, or would you want the building to meet the existing exterior color of the house?
Either way, if the house, and the building match, I think more so incorporating like the blue, which doesn't match the house. Because the house accents are green, so there's a lot of colors going on.
Yep, and that was part of the proposal, was we would repaint the green to the blue and then restain the house to be a matching beige. It was in the documents that were submitted.
So that works.
So you're proposing to make the house beige and blue to match the pole barn?
That was in what we submitted, yes.
Or, I didn't realize that. So you were saying that you are going to do that, or you're considering doing that?
In what we submitted, we said we are considering doing that, but if that would meet the requirement that they match, then that's what we would need to do.
Well, okay, so would that be something that would cause you to support the proposal?
Well, we're approving a building, not their future house.
I know,
The
it
thing is-
seems tough. It seems kind of tough. The question is, I guess, the real question is, should we defer this till next month so that they have an opportunity to present a plan that, that meets your, standards and requirements?
But I also don't want to waste their time. If you and John, if it's a non-starter, then it's not worth the headache. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's your call. How you want to proceed? You want to consider it next month, or you want to have a vote now? on what's
I mean, we just vote with additional conditions to the resolution that council has prepared.
Okay. All right, so that's the motion that's before us now, is to approve the resolution the council's prepared with these two additional requirements. Do it, was it, you seconded it, right? Okay, so is there any discussion? You know, the only discussion I'll make is that I don't think it meets the terms of the ordinance, both because it's not impractical to locate the building elsewhere on the lot, and B, because this is a pole barn in a residential district, and this is a residential home, and the pole barn doesn't look like the residential home in any respect, and especially in the respect that it has pole barn siding, and the house has some kind of an attractive wood siding. So that's my discussion, but is there any other discussion before we vote on it?
Can I ask a question now? No?
Well-
Am I too late?
You know, I think you're too late, but I'll bend the rules and I'll listen to your question. What is the
No,
question?
my question is there, getting back to the height of it, being that, you know, this pole barn is gonna be so close to the house, and can it be higher than the house, or isn't that in the mix? at
I'm
all?
not aware of any restriction in the ordinances that
Okay.
says that.
Because this will be like 20 feet high or something, it's a one-story building.
It's going to be obtrusive, I think, in the neighborhood. That's my own opinion, but that's my opinion. But in any event, is there any further discussion before we have a vote on this? Any further discussion?
Well, I think we should clarify in our ordinance what the metal situation is. I mean,
Yeah, you know,
like definitions or,
Should we table it, get more clarification on it? Because
oh, okay, we
we
did.
could spend all night here.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say, just FYI, I did Google that question, and AI answered the question for me.
Uh-oh.
It said, while pole barn siding is made of metal, it is generally not considered architectural metal in the same way that materials used for more elaborate and decorative building elements are. So for example, you get steel siding that's lap siding, that's architectural metal, okay? Pole barn siding, at least according to Google's AI, is not. And I don't know if there's sort of a generally accepted definition, but in my mind, pole barn siding doesn't remind me of house siding, you know, primary residence siding at all.
Yeah.
That's just my,
But part of the reason we had this ordinance is because people find ways around it. So you just,
well, the way around it is move it a few feet back, you know,
or attach it to your house.
or attach it to your house.
Doesn't
anyway.
make it any smaller or prettier though.
Okay, so, any further discussion before we have a vote on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to allow with those with those conditions, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. What is it, a tie? Did you vote?
Good time. Yeah, it's big of it.
Well, I can encourage them to vote, you know, I mean,
Just,
you know.
we'll see the next month.
Okay, so we got a tie with one abstention.
What was the vote?
Sounds like one aye and one nay and one abstention.
An abstention is a no, though.
So, Mr. Chair, a 1-1 would, the motion fails for lack of majority.
All right, all right, and, all right, very good. So let's move on then, to our next, item on the agenda.
Well, Mr. Chair?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
There should be some resolution of this, either continuing of it or a motion to deny
Oh.
or something, because right now the matter is
Oh,
unresolved.
you're right. Okay, so the motion to approve failed, but we haven't got a motion to deny. So I will renew my motion to deny the application. And do I have a second to that motion? If not,
Don't we have to deny it because it didn't have a majority vote? So this is just administrative?
I don't know. That's a legal
So,
question.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, the question, Rachel's question is, don't we have to deny it because we failed to approve it? And it's just administrative that we're now denying it.
So, Mr. Chair and board, under the 60-day rule, a failure to approve is deemed a denial. If those who do not vote in favor of the motion explain the reasons why they didn't vote for it. But I would encourage you to have a discussion about whether you would like to continue this, to give them an opportunity to provide those greater details that you talked about tonight, or if a motion to deny would move forward. It sounds like a motion to deny would not move forward. So then I would encourage the board to have a discussion about whether you want to continue this. And if that doesn't get any traction, then I would ask those who did not vote in favor of the motion to explain why, just briefly again, and that will have to stand as a denial.
Okay, so Rachel, would you like to continue this till next month and maybe look at some different plans or something?
No, my only concern is with the loophole. So we have an opportunity to approve with whatever conditions we want to put on it. Otherwise, it could be a different part of the yard and be bigger and redder and oranger and, unscreened. So it could get, what's undesirable now could get, let's say, worse. So now we have an opportunity to put some restrictions on it. And that's my only concern, because we have some places in the township where people have put big, large pole barns that are physically attached to their house, and I think it's worse for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Not saying you would do that. I'm just saying what's possible.
Right.
But I also want to hear from John.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you attached it to the house, that'd solve a lot of problems.
What does that mean? Like, what does attaching it to the house?
Does that mean make a walkway?
The foundation of the pole barn and connect with the foundation of the house.
Does that mean the garage portion of the house? Does that mean
Any portion of the house. Yes.
But John, do you think that's like what's the best? You're driving around the neighborhood. Do you think that's what people want to see? Is
Yeah,
conjoined twin houses? Or we wanted people. The intent of the ordinance was to allow people to fulfill their hobbies and build their sheds for storage, but in an area where people could see it in front of the house, side yard. We wanted to be able to have some control and let the neighbors weigh in. And now we're at this moment. So that's what the intent of the ordinance was.
Yeah.
So now's the moment to weigh in on how that you think that looks versus in the neighborhood and the house and.
I think no matter what you do, people will be unhappy with the way it looks.
I'll say this, if the applicants would want to come back with a proposal that at least met the part of the ordinance that requires the exterior materials, finish, and colors. And color isn't the only thing. Exterior materials and finish is part of this ordinance too. And I don't think we can ignore these ordinances. We just passed this ordinance. We just created this ordinance, and now we're talking about ignoring it. And I don't really think that's a prudent thing for a township to do in the interest of consistency and in the interests of neighbors who might feel that their property values might be adversely affected. These kinds of restrictions were put into this ordinance to protect the neighbors, to protect other people who live in the neighborhood. And I don't think we should cavalierly ignore these requirements and these restrictions that have been thought through and put in our ordinance. So if the applicants cared to resubmit with a proposal that had design, materials, and exterior finish that was complementary to the house, in other words, similar to the house, and looked like it belonged there with the house, and they were willing to avoid the use of materials that are forbidden by the ordinance, such as non-architectural metal. I would be willing to, I'd be willing to support, that kind of a structure that would comply with that much of the ordinance.
I
willing
agree
to
with
do
most of that. However, I think when our discussions of the ordinance, for someone, let's say their house is set 1,000 feet from the road, and they have a field and they have 20 acres, if they want to put a pole barn between their house and the road made out of metal, I think that's allowed. But you're saying that's absolutely not allowed because metal siding isn't allowed in any situation. So I think we need to, clarify that at some point.
All right. And I mean, you actually point out a very important distinction here. When somebody is on 20 acres and their house is 1,000 feet back from the road and you can't see the house and you can't see the accessory building from the road, it's a little less egregious when somebody puts a pole barn in front of their house.
Right.
But when they're in a urban-looking residential district like this is, where people mow their lawns and take care of their yards and it's mowed right up to the pavement and so forth, then I think it becomes more obvious that this is out of place.
No, I agree. I agree with where you're going there. It's just, we have to have one ordinance that applies to everyone. So if you're saying that in no situation can metal pole barn siding be in front of any residence in West Lakeland, I think that's the part that we need to look at.
Well, maybe they have to apply for a variance if they want to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so where are we? Do we want to come back next month and reconsider? What do the applicants think? Are you folks willing to come back with a proposal that
We are more likely
needs some?
to move the building to be within the 8-foot setback closer to neighbors,
Okay.
more than likely, based on this discussion.
All right, so it
Or
seems.
attached to the house in a hideous way.
Thanks. So it seems pointless then to probably to continue it to allow reconsideration of a different plan. So now we're back to the question: do we deny this request, or what do we do?
I think we have to deny because we don't have support to approve.
Okay.
So in the interest of moving on,
All right, I'm going to move that we deny this request. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. And let me ask council, are the reasons that I gave during my earlier discussion adequate to support the justification?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was going to jump in. Those are there were various reasons articulated. I think you certainly did a thorough job of going through that. And then I think the whole discussion is supportive of the motion.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on then to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of two meetings, the special meeting on August 4th and the town board meeting on July 14th. First with the, let's do the special meeting first. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes of the special meeting that we held on August 4th? If not, I'll move that we approve those minutes.
I'll
Do I have-
second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no. Okay, those minutes are approved. Next will be the minutes of the July 14th regular board meeting. And I just had a couple of little typo type things there. On page 3, under 2025 street improvement project, the first time the amount of 789,000 and some odd dollars is mentioned, there's no comma in there. That should be put in there in that dollar value. And finally, on the last page, page 4, under R 2025-17, I think wholesome is misspelled. I think it's HOLCIM. Does anybody
Yeah.
know if is that right?
That's
Okay.
true.
So we got to correct spell. Yep.
Isn't it a different name now? Okay.
Oh, it is a different name now, yeah. So I don't know if we should even be referring to it as wholesome or not, but I don't know who really.
It was from
It was from
Holtzman. Okay.
Wholesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And wasn't there some action someone was, were you gonna talk to someone about the roosters, or were we just
Well, the
leave?
roosters, yeah.
I feel like there was it you or John that were gonna call the,
Yeah, I
something?
do. I am gonna do that.
I don't know if it was,
It should be in there, I suppose. Maybe it should be in there that I'll contact that homeowner that has the roosters and inquire with them.
we can talk more about roosters
Yeah,
later.
yeah. Okay, so, but with those changes, I would move approval of the minutes of the July 14th.
I'll
meeting.
second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those no. Okay, those minutes are approved. Thank you. And we have the treasurer's report from Marcia.
Good evening. In the month of July, the township recorded $1,445,460 worth of receipts. Of that, $1,355,439 came from Washington County in the form of property taxes. $18,154 came also from Washington County for gravel tax. There was $1,800 worth of donations for the town night out. 19,000 building permits, 20,000 pool fence escrows, and 2,200 other escrows and fees. The town paid out $976,171.86. 7,800 being payroll, 96,830 Bolton and Mink for engineering, 10,211 for Braun construction materials and testing, 5,200 for M&S for invasive species, tree and mowing. 3,947 for legal, 789,349 for payment number 2 for OMG Midwest, and 25,000 for RCM patching, 16,000 for building inspections, bringing the total current assets at the end of the month to 7,969,314.15.
All right.
That's a mouthful.
Thank you. I will move that we accept the treasurer's report and approve the payment of the bills.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. And we'll have a roll call on this. And John, this is on approval of the treasurer's report and payment of the bills. We'll need to have a roll call.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Chairman Musburger,
Aye.
Supervisor Bulow.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right.
One thing is, as we were going through it, just to mention.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shove everything I can into Midwest One to pay some of these really large bills, because keeping the bond money in the 4M last month, we made $18,900 worth of interest. So I'm trying to keep it there as long as humanly possible.
Sure. And I think we have another payment coming up now too, again, but
Yeah, there's another one here in August, and we're still leaving it there.
yeah.
Next month it'll be a different story, but
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks for those efforts. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Next, we've got a minor subdivision application that we're gonna review. And then, okay, so this is kind of a preliminary review of it, I guess, as opposed to anything that we actually take action on. Does this require a public hearing ultimately, or where does it go from here? No.
Yes, Mr. Chair. A subdivision like this should go through a hearing process.
All right, so, but we're gonna hear on a kind of a preliminary basis, as I understand it, what the request is going to be. And did you have something?
Don't we have to recommend a public hearing, or don't we have to?
I think we'd have to vote to set it on for a public hearing
Right.
once we hear from these folks, yeah. So is there a Mike, Linsky? Mick? Is he here? Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Mick Linsky, and I was born and raised in this township, and my parents are still here. We live in Lake Elmo now, but our 3 kids all went through the Stillwater school system, so we're local people. I've done 3 developments in this township: Homestead Acres off 22nd Street by John C.'s property many years ago, Galway, Lorimier. Those are neighborhoods we did. Only reason I'm bringing that up is I think we've had a really good relationship with the town. Haven't had any issues, and we've done what we were supposed to do. And so this property here, 20-acre piece, Brett Twining owns it. And I've had 12 concepts on this, because when we originally laid it out, I just looked at, okay, I need 160 feet of road frontage, 2.5 acre minimum. And we kind of laid that out, connecting the 2 road right-of-ways. So on Northridge right there, you can see that there is a 60-foot dedicated road right-of-way to the town. And then on the south end of the property on Hillside Court, there's another 60-foot road right-of-way dedicated to the township. So our initial plan was connecting these 2 road right-of-ways, have a through road with 7 lots. And in the middle of that process, I was pretty close to submitting to you guys when I had neighbors reach out to me and initially show interest in being able to acquire the land behind their house, just to keep it rural the way it is for now. And maybe someday have a kid build a house there, one of their children. But right now their interest was just getting the property behind them just to protect their view shed. So I said, okay. So we changed the plan, created that. What it ended up doing was 4 lots then. And then was getting ready to submit, and I had another neighbor contact me, and they wanted to purchase the rest. So we completely switched gears to this, just two sites. And the first question with the neighbors abutting it, I've had people say, well, why don't you, it'd be very simple for me to just do a lot line adjustment and attach it to their homes. In good conscience, I didn't recommend to those neighbors that that's the way it should be done. With their investment, I feel like at some point in time for their estate or whatever, that they should have the ability to have building sites. And if it's attached to their house, then they'd have to go through the process down the road. So I think it made more sense to do it this way. Back in 1993, a prior board allowed and created and recorded a driveway easement on the center line of your road right away on Hillside Court. That's in place. It's in your packet. So you have a copy of that. So with this request here, there's no 160-foot road right away. So that's what the 2 variances would be. So instead of doing 7 lots connecting road with the traffic connecting through, I would propose doing a very low impact on the property. You've got steep slopes in here, heavily wooded. It's really a beautiful piece of property. I would propose doing it this way. Planner did recommend to make this clean, to have each lot request a variance for both lots for the absence of 160 feet of road frontage. But I would like to point out, it's already in place on Hillside Court. You've already done that. You've already allowed that variance to occur by giving that driveway easement back in 1993. It's already there. I would just ask that we could do the same thing on the west property line there off Northridge. I like it. I've met with the neighbors on each side of Hillside Court that I personally think it impacts the most. Their initial reaction to 7 lots weren't thrilled, being able to see rooftops right behind their homes. I think this is a really, for 20 acres, just to do 2 sites, I think it's a pretty nice thing for all the neighbors that are around there. So that's it. We got, as far as the application, I had questioned that too. I thought I was applying for the September 8th meeting, of which would be a public hearing, because I know you need your time for notices and so forth. But last month we went to the Planning Commission and we got a unanimous approval for recommending approval, that they passed on to you. In my world, this is not really complicated, just to take a 20 and divide, put no roads in, make 2 lots out of it. So I was seeking preliminary and final plat approval. So I would hope that you would consider this and forward it on to September where we could have a public hearing. And we have done everything according to the ordinance. I have had a wetland delineation done. There are no wetlands on the property. That's in your packet. I've also had soil testing to verify that the soils are suitable for septics on each lot, which they are, and all of that is in your packet. Pretty straightforward.
I have a couple questions. Who are the landowners that want to, the adjacent landowners that want to purchase these?
So on the north side there, it's denoted. I had the our surveyor put that on there. Attila and Christine
Okay, so
are
that-
directly to the north there, and then Pat and Linda on the northeast corner there.
Okay, so the folks that share the east. We're present.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you share the east boundary line of this 20-acre parcel?
The north boundary line, their south boundary line, and this 20 acres north boundary
Oh, okay.
line they
They're
share.
south and this 20 acres north. And then the other landowner is to the north of that smaller proposed parcel?
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. They abut that.
Okay. And, okay, so, and these documents that, I've got in front of me, I don't know if this is everything you got in the application, but I see an agreement for use of township right-of-way as private property dated February of 1990. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought it was 93, but you're probably right there. Yes, that is what I'm referring to. The town gave a driveway easement that
But-
runs with the land.
You know, I read this thing and it sounds like it says the town will use its best efforts to promptly obtain a public right-of-way easement, but I don't see any evidence that there is a public right-of-way easement or that it has been obtained.
Yes,
You got
it's been
something?
obtained.
I included that in your packet because when we went through the planning process, in real time, they were pulling up the county GIS mapping system, and you're correct. It's not showing up on that. So if you go to Washington County GIS map, it doesn't show. So what I included in your packet is the recorded section map from the county.
Okay.
My surveyor provided that, and I have 2 circles on there showing that that does show your right of way on there.
Okay. But there's no documentation of it, or there is documentation? of it?
There would be, and I can have my surveyor pull that. But that's what he gave me was a section map saying, look, this is recorded at the county, and it's showing that there is road right of way in favor of the town on
Okay.
both parcels.
All right, and then the rest of this document says, in the event the property is further subdivided to serve additional parcels, they'll construct a public road into the easement, or on the easement, I guess. So it sounds like it was contemplated that if there was gonna be some subdivision, they build a road.
No, my interpretation of that was that the previous board did not want somebody to be able to have a driveway easement to service multiple, like a neighborhood.
No.
In that case, they'd want a road built. In this case, you got 2 lots that are coming off your road right away. So I'm just looking for the same circumstance on the other lot. Or we could just put a road in. It didn't really matter to me. It was the neighbors that their interest in it that kind of led me to this plan.
And those 2 neighbors to the south, they acknowledge that there's a road easement, or they have a way in, or they do know about?
No, they have. So on the west side, I met with Tom, and then on the east side, that's Jack. I met with both those gentlemen. Jack was not thrilled because the 7-lot plan, and I don't want to speak for him, but I'll just, my interpretation, the 7-lot plan that we had where the home would be was really visible from Jack's house. Not so much on Tom's on the west side, but yes, I met with both of them because I think it impacts them the most. So I was just trying to be neighborly and let them know what was going on and get their feedback. I think at a public hearing, they probably would both be here. I would imagine if I lived there, instead of having 60 feet graded through the trees that are currently there, I'd prefer a 12-foot driveway easement over a 60-foot road that goes through. But no, I'm not. You're at Hillside Court? Oh, I'm talking about Hillside Court there, on the west side of that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, and then of course the elephant in the room is that you want to subdivide this and you want neither lot to have 160 feet of frontage.
Yeah, as it sits right now, I could go in there and build a house on 20 acres and just use the road, the driveway easement that you guys granted us. But it doesn't make sense for me. I mean, I'd rather put a road in and connect the two. But I thought this was kind of a nice alternative that,
So that piece of township right away, it comes off of, what's that other-
20th Street.
Well, 20th and maybe here it's labeled Northridge. I don't know
That's
which it is.
incorrect.
That's incorrect. It's
Yes.
20th, okay. So that easement coming off of 20th, what was the idea, purpose, origin, history of that?
my understanding, and I think Supervisor Buelow probably could speak to it better because he lives across the street from there, but I think it was when Christmas Tree Ridge was developed, that was because he didn't want a landlocked piece. Instead of one long cul-de-sac, it was so the future that those roads could connect.
Who didn't want to landlock, the Redenzas, the ones that owned it, or somebody else didn't want to landlock?
I honestly don't know.
Can you answer that?
Yeah, they had 2 accesses to the property, and they sold one, and
One access?
yes. And then they twisted my arm until I gave them the property for the second easement, which would be off 20th Street.
Oh, so that was your property, and
Yes.
Redenzels got an easement, that property deeded to them from you?
I deeded the property
Yeah.
to them.
Okay, that little strip of land, that's the 60-foot strip.
Yep.
Okay. And that was so they wouldn't be landlocked.
No, it wasn't landlocked because they had the easement coming off of
Hillside Court, yeah.
yeah,
Which we haven't seen yet.
Hillside Court,
okay.
yeah.
Any idea why that easement didn't show up, or that ownership, or whatever it is, didn't show up on the county GIS?
I don't know. To be honest with you, my surveyor did it on the early end, and he's like, "No, you have access there." He said there's recorded right away. So I don't know why they don't have it on their GIS mapping system.
Yeah, not perfect. I suppose it's not.
Yeah.
But then, but it would be interesting to see the, documentation of that, obviously.
Yeah, I can
But
get that.
notwithstanding, I think the bigger question obviously is, do we want to make this kind of a, award this kind of a variance to allow 2 lots to be created, neither of which has any frontage, not just 160 feet, but, maybe 60 feet of frontage max. And I think that's kind of a hard sell. It's a little hard to swallow, I think. Once again, because my philosophy is I don't like the idea of willy-nilly, kind of ignoring ordinances and granting variances to ordinances that aren't really necessary. And this isn't necessary because you could build a road. You've got that easement, you got that property there off of 20.
The reason the township gave the permission for the road is the cost of coming off of Hillside Court. That'd be an expensive road, so they didn't want that, so they approved the driveway access for it.
Well, why would it be an expensive road?
Look at
The
your
terrain,
topo
yeah.
there.
Yeah, but we're not gonna build it. The developer's gonna build it.
We're just gonna maintain it.
We're just gonna maintain it.
township's got so many roads now that they aren't maintaining. What do you need another one for?
It's a straw that broke the camel's back, right? Well, yeah, I don't know. I just, philosophically, I just have trouble.
And, you know, spending $500,000 or $250,000 for an access to a house, I think is ridiculous when they could put in a driveway for 10 grand or 20 grand.
And it sounds like the township sort of,
It looks
endorsed
like
that.
they
they-
endorsed
they
it,
improved
so,
that for one home, one residence. It
yeah,
says.
so why not do it for two?
Well, why not do it for 7?
That'd be
You
a
know,
good idea.
Yeah.
I, in my travels in, July, we came across very nice areas. They allowed 6 homes on a driveway,
Mhm.
and
What-
it looks real nice.
What's the purpose of the 160-foot frontage? Is that a density, like to manage the density? Or is it roadway safety?
Technically, you wouldn't have to put a road in, you could just put a cul-de-sac in,
Right, there'd be, so it'd be like 2 cul-de-sacs.
and which would be ridiculous also.
And if I could say one thing, you guys, most people that come to you seeking variances, developers, it's generally because they want something, right? I mean, they're wanting to get another lot out of something. They might have a lot that's 2.4 acres rather than 2.5 to make more money. I had this already priced and bid out by Miller to do the full road going through. So it's not a money thing for me. It's, I would think, just common sense. People would prefer, if you go out there and look at this, it is beautiful. It is heavily wooded, terrain. And if I go through there, we're going to have to wipe out a lot of those trees to get our 60-foot right of way. I just think most people would be more happy by only having 2 lots instead of 7. So I'm not seeking a variance for my own benefit. I'm seeking it because I think it's best for everybody in the room, probably.
I think that's the point of variances are for unique, like pieces of, like unique parcels. And I think this landlocked kind of weird thing is unique, but I also don't have the history on the 160. Like if there's more public safety or fire trucks or something.
Probably has to do with all those things, but I don't really myself. I just know it's an ordinance that we've got. And it seems like part of our job is to enforce our ordinances, and obviously allow variances where there are unique, hardships. A landlocked parcel is, somebody bought it as a landlocked parcel. Sounds like in 1990 they bought it with the understanding they could have 1 residence on that landlocked parcel, 20 acres. And they want us to move off of that position. I'm just reluctant to do it.
Part of the history on that too, Brett Twining, he's the same guy that's owned this since that.
Yeah,
He's the
since
one
that.
he's signed on there.
Denzel sold it.
At the time, he was buying it for his own use where he thought he was going to keep it as 20 acres, have a bunch of pole buildings out there because you don't have a lot of control over somebody when they have 20 acres. They can run their business there. They can have their pole barns. That was his intent. So at the time, the neighbors that were living in those homes thought it was way less obtrusive if we just had a 12-foot driveway going in rather than a 60-foot road and then clearing all those trees out on the property line. That's why that was done at that point in time. So I'm just trying to keep it looking the same that it does right now. You might get 2 houses back there some point in time, but I think you could talk to both neighbors. I don't know if they have any immediate plans of doing anything. I know Attila and Christine don't. They just want to save it. Maybe someday one of their kids would build a house. I don't want to speak for Pat and Linda. But
What is this idea about putting cul-de-sacs? Like you'd put a cul-de-sac on the south end there, assuming you really do have access to that south end.
Yep.
You put a cul-de-sac on that northwest corner.
Yeah.
And then
Then you'd have your 160 feet of it.
yeah, you'd have
Then could connect a driveway to it.
right.
Yeah.
And you could put your house anywhere you want. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a solution. It's a little less obtrusive than what you're talking about.
I'm happy to show you what the 7-lot plan looks like. I have it in my folder here if you'd like to see it.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about putting a cul-de-sac at the upper north end of that extension of Greenwood or whatever it is, and another cul-de-sac off of that spur that comes off of 20th Street. I think that's what you're talking about too, John, right? Yeah. Cul-de-sac at the northwest corner of that smaller lot, a cul-de-sac centered in the south edge of the larger lot. And they wouldn't really have to put a road through the whole thing.
When you do that, it doesn't work. You can't access every bit of the land if you do that. So if you start building something, it costs a lot more per linear foot to do a small little section than it does a longer one. The more quantity, the price goes down a little bit. So for me, I'd be connecting both if I was going to do it. If you don't want 2 lots there, then I would connect and just do the 7. And then you'd have your full right would go through, but I can guarantee when we go to that public hearing, people are not going to be happy about a road coming through there, even though it meets every requirement. So I just thought I'd give you an option.
Right. Well, let's see. You've got the variance requests. You filed them. Council, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, just to follow up on a couple of comments that you had made, we would definitely need to see where these are asserted to be public rights of way, on what basis. So if there was an easement documents, plat dedicated to the public, whatever. So we would definitely need to see those, particularly since 60 foot width would be unusual, not unheard of, but unusual for a public right of way.
It is on that document there in my packet. I did supply that. It's a section map from Washington County, and
This isn't this
Oh,
isn't
okay.
enough. Yeah, I mean, we actually see, the whole idea of this was an easement was granted, that there's limited ways in which a town road, a public right of way can be established. And this doesn't do it. So we need to see some documentation of whether it's a plat with the land dedicated to the public for a road, or if there was an easement dedicated to the town. I mean, there should be a record of that.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, and this isn't it's just something that struck me. It seemed like the septic area identified for the southern lot is awfully close to the proposed boundary line. I don't know what the setbacks are for that, but something that kind of leaped out at me on that. And then finally, I know this was done in 1990, but I would never have you issue an easement over an easement. In my opinion, you don't have the authority to do that. Your interest in land, if it's just an easement, doesn't grant you the right to grant someone else an easement over your easement. You can grant a license over your easement, but I'm not saying that stops this at all from moving forward, but we definitely would need to see proof that the town has an interest, that there's some way to get to these lots. And then I haven't gone through all of this in detail, but we can certainly look at that and see what would be required in order to ensure that there's proper access. And of course, it's up to the board whether or not you approve the variances for the smaller frontage, but that's up to you. But those are just some of the comments that I had. The proof of the public nature of those two sections, the septic area setback from the line, and then again how we deal with access. Finally, this is an example of where, and it sounds like Kim's been involved in this and reviewing this. I mean, typically what we would see then is when this comes to a hearing before you, there would be a report developed by the planner that has looked at all the planning, the minimum lot size, the width, the frontage, just kind of the whole range of things, and make a report. It looks good here. This one, need a variance for the frontage, those sorts of things. That way you have not a playbook, but kind of a good understanding of how your code applies to this particular situation.
And in view of what you're saying, Council, in view of what you're saying, I assume, is it appropriate for us to advise the applicant at this point that the applications are incomplete until the following items are supplied, and thus toll the running of the 60-day rule? Is it appropriate to do that at this?
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm not clear on when the applications were submitted. If we're outside of 15 business days, we're too late on that.
Looks like 7/31/25, this being the 11th of August. I think we're within 15 business days.
So,
or is that not an appropriate way to proceed in order to give us some time to receive some of this other documentation that we need?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's difficult to say. I mean, we'd have to look at what the requirements are for an application, so I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay.
There's no question, well, so Mr. Chair, I guess my recommendation would be not to do that, to allow it to move forward to a hearing, but with an understanding it's not going to be approved unless we get that additional information.
And I'm fine with that. I can have that for you within a couple of days.
Okay.
The septic, there's nothing with the septic. You know, when those guys go out there, they just go out there and there was no stakes yet, so they tested. And then when the surveyor did his actual plat, that's all it was. We can slide that south and get that within the boundary line.
And I'm not sure what the setbacks are on that. I just noticed that was really close to that property.
Fair, yep.
And that might actually be a county,
It's 10 foot of setback for a septic from a
oh, is it? Is that the county code?
property.
All right, so then maybe what we should do is, set this on for public hearing at our next regular monthly meeting, and then you'll have the, requested information for us at that time.
Do you want me to just submit that to Carrie then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll move that we set this on for a public hearing and that the notices and so forth be issued on, I guess, all three requests, the approval of the minor subdivision and the 2 variance requests.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, before you think about a cul-de-sac, I think you need to walk the property up there to see what's involved. Unless the cul-de-sac, existing cul-de-sac could be used as their 160 feet.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't own 160 feet on that existing cul-de-sac, right?
It could be touching the property. I don't know exactly where it is.
Well, there's a map there, and it looks like the cul-de-sac comes well south of the, I don't know, do we have that map here too?
It is short. It's short. That's where your dedicated road right away goes from the end of that cul-de-sac
Oh,
into the
okay.
property. So, but like I said, that driveway easement is recorded. It's on record right now. Just trying to duplicate that on the other side.
Okay, any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no. Okay, so we'll see you at a public hearing.
I'll get that stuff for you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks for your time, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's see, next item. We have a request from Amrise Midwest Inc., formerly Wholesome. And it says Patty Nessler, but it's not Patty Nessler, I can tell, right off, I can tell.
All right, so, Mr. Chair, members of the board, thanks for your time tonight. My name's Tom Schmidt. I am the general manager of Amrise. I've been with the company for 18 years. We were formerly Wholesome. Before that, we were Aggregate Industries. We're the operator of the mine in Westlake Township. We were a multinational corporation. We spun off our North American operations, publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. It happened in June, and so we are now called Amrise. So we wrote the check when we were Amrise. That just changed recently. Locally, same leadership team, same plant managers, same people you're used to seeing and dealing with, but we do have a new name. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about looking at the hours we're operating our facility. I'll hand you this map here.
Thank you.
If you take a look at that map, basically our operations are our operation spans the township and the city of Lakeland, and that's in the yellow dotted line there. We've got extraction operations that occur in the orange area, and then we have crushing operations that occur in the green circled area there, and washing and stockpiling and truck loading operations that occur in the blue circled area. So that's kind of the layout of our facility there. And what I wanted to talk to the board about tonight, we're looking at options to increase the amount of time we can perform extraction activities in that orange area on the map. What we're not interested in doing is making a change with our permit with the city of Lakeland to do, to change our hours in the green and the blue circles. And we're also not seeking a change in our truck hauling, loading hours or routes or anything like that. We're strictly interested in more operation time in the orange area. The reason for this request, demand on this side of the city is strong. That beautiful smooth riding I-94 was a big project just recently supplied out of our facility here. And we can't get enough material out of the ground in the 7 to 7 hours that we currently have with our permit. So that's why we're exploring some options here to expand that amount of time we can do that. This is not a new mode of operation for Amrize. So in Washington County, in the city of Cottage Grove, our Nelson operation extracts material 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In Dakota County, in the city of Empire, our Empire operation does the same thing, does extraction 24/7. Plants run less like we're proposing here. Each plant is different, each neighborhood is different. So I'm not suggesting it's a one size fits all, but wanted to explore some options here. So I'm not aware of a lot of recent complaints. I think we've had one maybe in the last several years. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We had some truck chipping that was going on at the ready mix plant down there, and we were able to make that go away. So not a lot of complaints there. So what I'm seeking and what Amrize is seeking here, we're not looking for a blanket approval. We're looking for a way to work together, take baby steps to see if there's a way that we can do this. I believe that we can do this operation without having impacts on the neighborhood. And so we're just looking for kind of an objective, open mind approach to this. Would love to have you out for tours. I know you tour our facility regularly anyways, but if we could focus on this extraction area and show you what we do there. Possibly, if I don't know how this works with ordinances and our permit, but a trial period of a week or something to see how it goes and see what that looks like. And then move down the road from there if we think we can make this work.
Do you have to also obtain permission from the county to do this? Because they're the ones that issued your COP, right?
I believe we'd have to go there, but
Yeah.
starting
Sure.
here with you,
Okay.
you know.
So then, my question would be this then. As I understand it, we currently have the authority to, on a ad hoc, as needed, temporary basis, allow you to exceed the, whatever it is, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Limitation on operations as needed. And isn't that good enough? I mean, if there's a big project or something, if you're going to redo the I-94 bridge over the river or something like that, and you come to us with that request, we can approve it on a limited basis, and that way we maintain some control over the operation. But what you're asking for is a little different, right? You're asking for just a blanket approval for the next 5-year CUP period to be able to do this 24/7 as you wish.
So it sounds like with what you're saying, that ad hoc ability, that gives us a path for a test run here within the framework of what we have.
Might, but I mean, I think it's based on necessity. I don't know if it's just, I guess we'd have to talk about that. And I'm not in a position to speak for the board here either as to whether we would say, yeah, let's do a 2-week or 1 week or whatever. But my point is that we currently have the ability, you and we, to allow you to exceed those normal hours of operation under special circumstances when unique demand arises and so forth. And my question is, why isn't that sufficient? Is there a problem with doing that?
Well, I believe we meet the requirement of special conditions. I mean, the way the aggregate market is going and where demand is shifted, it is coming to this side of the cities here, and we have a need and we can't get done what we want to get done. But I think you would understand from a business perspective, we're going to make promises to customers in production plans and things, and we need some level of certainty as to what we're going to be granted. But in no way am I suggesting or proposing that you would approve this and then you have no leverage to make, there would be conditions placed on this. We would be in communication. If we're not meeting the township's expectations, we would need to remedy things. it's not an open checkbook to just cut us loose and you have no leverage after that. And we do, in the other, you know, governmental units where we're running these hours, we have those conditions in place where we're obligated to answer concerns in a certain period of time. And we're, you know, we got to come in if we have problems, we don't, but you know, so there's, you have checks and balances there in that process, but looking for the certainty to make business plans for a season, you know, on, even if it's a season by season basis, you know, because if we get halfway through this thing and change his minds, we don't have time to react.
Okay, anybody else have any questions about the proposal? John?
I think it's good to do a trial run. See how it goes.
Well, I don't know if we want to take some time to think about this, or do you think we should just, I mean, do you want to make a motion or vote on something right now, put something together, or do we want to, or do we want to take a look at some kind of a concrete proposal and maybe have council take a look at it and see?
Nothing wrong with
whether-
that idea.
See whether we agree with it, yeah. So, council, do you have any thought on this, or?
Yeah, just so the board is aware, I really don't have any context here. I don't know what the CUP currently looks like.
Right.
It's a little bit different. I've picked up on your town consenting to or having a role, but ultimately not being the permit issuer
Right.
for mining,
Yes.
which is a little different. My other towns, they actually issue the permit along with the county in this county. I'm not saying, I mean, it's just different. So I think it would be important to look at the existing CUP and then see what role the town plays under that. I assume what's being asked for here is just town consent, but ultimately the county would issue. But it's a long way of saying, I don't know enough to really give you advice on this yet.
Right, and the other thing that just occurred to me as you were speaking is that we probably do need to coordinate whatever we communicate to the applicant with the county who issues the CUP. I would assume we should have a discussion with the county before we take action.
Mr. Chair, I think having some sense of where the county's at on this and having the town have enough time to think about this and perhaps look at, if you could perhaps provide the CUPs that you have or IUPs in the communities where you operate these kinds of hours, I think that would be helpful. I personally haven't seen that in the communities I work in, but you know, as indicated, apparently you have that in others. So I think it would be helpful to see that. That way, if you do make a recommendation saying we're okay with this, you can say with the following conditions ought to be added. That way you just have what comes out of this board can perhaps be more informed when it goes to the county.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, council. So yeah, with that said, yeah, I think that would be very helpful for us to see how this looks in other municipalities. Maybe, you know, contrasting that with whatever CUPs you have from us and or the county here and in these other municipalities where this is happening. And then giving the board a little time to kind of noodle on this a little bit, I think, and to communicate with the county and coordinate with the county so we're on the same page and so forth. We don't want to be out there doing something that the county is lamenting that we did, you know? So I guess that would be kind of a pathway forward.
Okay, just to make sure, so we can provide those other documents for our permits to operate in other areas. That's a great idea. You can see the conditions we operate in there.
Yeah.
You guys have our current permits, right? So you don't
Correct.
need those from
That's
us.
true. We can
Okay, so
provide those to council. Yeah.
You have those. Are you looking for some kind of formalized proposal? Like this is what we
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's put some parameters on it and see what's really being requested, and then we can take a closer look at it.
All right, and then we work with the county regularly for other operations too. I'll get in touch with Alyssa Leitner over there tomorrow or this week and make sure she's in the loop on what we're trying to do.
Sure.
She'll have suggestions, I'm sure. So I wanted to start with you,
Sure.
get your
Yeah.
temperature, see what we wanted to do, and
Yep.
because ultimately they're not going to do something if you're not, you know, if you're opposed to it here. So
Right.
um,
I appreciate that.
sounds like we possibly have a path to go forward here, and we'll get to work and provide you something you can take a look at.
Sure, let's explore it. I appreciate your efforts.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see, what do we got now? Okay, now this next item is that John Brock, who's on the Valley Branch Watershed Board, would like West Lakeland to, he's soliciting and seeking our endorsement to recommend him to an additional term. I think his term is coming up. He's not here, is he? John here? No, that's all right, though. Did he write us
There's something from there.
in the packet here? Okay, so let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here it is. All right, so yeah, so John writes that his appointment, so the county commissioners appoint him as have appointed him as a supervisor for the Valley Branch Watershed District. That appointment expires in November. He's applying for reappointment, and I think he's a very competent and dedicated member of that board. But he's asking for a letter of support from West Lakeland Township to endorse his candidacy for that. He says in his email he's got 35 years of experience as a water resources engineer in his past professional career. So, I mean, he certainly has subject matter expertise, which is wonderful. He's enjoyed his time on the Valley Branch Watershed District Board, looks forward to reappointment, and a letter of support would be welcome. So I am going to move that that you folks authorize me. Did you have something to add? Oh, okay, just sidebar, okay. I'm going to move that you folks authorize me to write a letter of recommendation on the board's behalf, West Lakeland Township Board's behalf, to the Washington County Commissioners supporting his reappointment.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Thank you for writing the letter.
You're very welcome.
I think,
I'm happy to do it.
I think we all think John is great.
I do too. I do too. I think he's a great resource. Yeah. So I'm excited about doing this too. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, I'll write that letter for him.
You can use ChatGPT.
What's that?
You can use Chat.
I'm going to use ChatGPT. Oh no, wait. I'm afraid of that stuff. I don't know what that does.
You were just quoting
Well, I
AI
just-
earlier.
but that's Google, you know. I mean, how can they?
Okay.
You know, they
Totally
can't.
different technology.
Well, they can't. You know.
Okay.
You know, color outside the lines. They're Google. You know. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next we have Aaron Zierden, Compass Consultants, talking about a concept review to place a prefabricated telecommunications shelter on Holiday Station property. I understand this is a fiber optic installation that you folks are thinking about putting there.
Yes, we're Pat Lynch and Steve Hoffman representing Arvig. Arvig is a telecommunications provider throughout many parts of Minnesota. We've grown into the East Metro area, and now optical limitations have begun to make it difficult to expand in the area. So it's time to put in a more local distribution site. When we looked at the lay of the land, existing fiber optic routes along 94 and north and south on Manning Avenue, having a site for a distribution in that area was perfect. The only established facility is the Holiday Station in that general area. So we reached out to Holiday, came to terms that they would allow us to place a building on their land as long as it stayed between the north side of their building and Second Street, avoiding interruption to the flow north to south. And so that is what leads us to meet with you tonight to answer questions.
Okay. So, yeah, so you're going to enter into or have entered into some kind of a lease agreement with them or something?
In concept, yes.
In concept, okay. You know, the other thing I wonder about is, okay, so a couple of things. There'd be a building permit. There'd be some kind of utility easements you'd have to obtain, I suppose, to put your line down. And then you'd have to, and then we'd have to look at the CUP, I suppose, for the Holiday Station. And see if that needed to be amended. I'm just trying to brainstorm here a little bit about what you'd need to do this.
Correct, and that's why we wanted to introduce that with you, to make sure that our application is going to satisfy your needs as well as theirs.
So, okay, so what form of application? So you're talking about your building permit application? or
Correct.
Some other application?
Right. Our right of way, our standard right of way is good, would be for our cable installations to tie the existing routes into the lateral entering our building. We build out to the nearby utility transformer for our electric power. That would all be under standard utility operations. Setting the building is what we wanted to clarify with your group.
Yeah. And of course, I don't know, I'm not the building official, but you'd probably have to check with Isaac to see what, what you're proposing. Isaac Stensland, he's our building official. You'd have to check with him. And the other thing is, as far as the building itself goes, issuing a building permit, the other thing is, I don't know if the CUP for the Holiday has to be looked at, addressed, amended, et cetera. If Holiday is going to kind of sublease part of their property for this other purpose, I suppose we'd have to look into that. And I don't know who, and I don't know if that's an exhaustive list of, the things that have to be done either. But is that something the Planning Commission would tackle or, in other words, or who should look at that? Or should council look at it? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, typically something like this would start with the planner.
Oh, the planner.
Yeah,
Okay.
to try to identify those sorts of issues. You're exactly right. I mean, it really is this somehow beyond the scope of the existing CUP that would require an amendment or a separate CUP? That certainly is a valid question. Is a building like this, does it trip some other sort of permitting requirement beyond the building permitting requirement? I have a town in Dakota County that has one of these going in, and they're requiring them to go through a CUP process under their particular code. I'm not saying that's required here, but I'm just saying that's how they're processing one of these. So definitely the planner should be involved in reviewing this initially. And then when it comes to, does the existing CUP, does this fit basically? Sometimes, then often that's a question the planner would reach out to me and we'd have that discussion. So yeah, there is a process that's frankly one of the reasons. I mean, this is an example of one of the reasons why I encourage you to get a planner, because they can help do some of that preliminary review.
Okay. So then kind of as a mechanical matter, to get to the planner, would they go through the Planning Commission or how would they? No, there is an application for consideration. For consideration of a planning request, is that the name of it? Oh, okay. That does make sense to me, yes. Okay. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. Did you get all that?
Sure.
Okay, so there's that app. Okay. Very good. Do folks have any other questions or comments you'd like to share with us right now, or do you want to just pursue that process and
We'll pursue that.
have the planner start looking? Okay, wonderful.
I know that they mentioned your group had some questions. You're good with this, or as long as it follows that process?
I think as long as it meets, all the requirements, the one I'm particularly concerned about is the CUP for the Holiday Station, whether that's got to be amended to allow this different use, that wasn't really contemplated at the time they got their CUP. That seems like kind of an important one. Obviously, compliance with all the building inspectors' requirements would be the other important thing, and beyond that, I can't really think of anything, but the planner might think of some issues and some things that you need to look at. So I'm glad somebody with some expertise is going to. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think so too. Yeah. Just want to dot our I's and cross our T's, but if it sounds like a great thing, you'll be offering very competitive prices on on fiber internet, I suppose.
I can confirm nor deny.
In the township. All right. All right. Wink, wink. No, but the point being, yeah, I think we welcome, that kind of competition, for that kind of service. It's, competition's a healthy thing. And if you folks, Arvig wants to come in and provide those services, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Let's see oh, next this is what we've all been waiting for here. We're gonna hear from Chad Isaacson.
A planning commission update.
Oh,
Mark
oh,
first.
I'm looking at the wrong, okay, I'm sorry. There's an updated thing.
We
Sorry,
all have name tags now. We know who's
Sorry.
next.
sorry. I was looking at an earlier draft and I apologize for
Wait, does everybody have their name tag on? Let me see. Huh? No, your
Yeah, right
magnet
here.
name tag.
Yeah,
You're not wearing them.
well,
What? Oh. Everybody has a name tag. So whenever you're out in public representing the township, wear the name tag. Plus your shirt. Yeah. Anyway, okay, sorry about that. So an update from the planning commission. We will meet next week, the third Thursday, so it'll be on the August 21st. And these requests for accessory structures in front of the residents are quite prolific. There's 3 more on deck right now. One of them was discussed last month, and it was a situation where there is an existing structure in front of the residents, and they wanted to build a second structure in front of the residents. And I believe that one will be coming forward as an addition to the existing structure rather than a variance request for a second structure. So that'll be interesting. And then we have 2 more that will be discussed at our meeting next week, and these are just up the street from the one we went over tonight. They're both on Morgan Avenue. And, I guess the process is working, right? The neighbors are notified. This was the largest audience we had for a public hearing at a accessory structure in front of the residents, I think, tonight, right? But it was just a very large obtrusive structure. And I think it's unfortunate that one suggestion was to just attach it to the house and avoid this, because that really isn't what we want. That's not what the neighbors want. We want structures that are nice looking buildings especially when they're in front of the house. And I guess, and the planning commission did work with this resident to try and work through some of these things to make this a nice looking building, but then there's budget constraints and other considerations, and there's only so much you can do. But to bring it forward to a public hearing and have the neighbors speak their mind and share their concerns it's a good thing, right? So there's gonna be more of it, and typically they're building beautiful buildings in front of the house. The last few we've had they look like a house, right? And we don't have these issues, so more to come on that. But
yeah,
it's,
to follow, to just reinforce that, yeah, most of the applications that I can remember seeing, they really are made out of the same materials, same design. They look very much integrated with the house, is what most folks are proposing. That's what I've been seeing.
Yeah, there was one, I forget the address now, but it was just north of the town hall up here, and it was approved last year, I think. But it was just a beautiful proposal. They had a beautiful garage. It was adjacent, or just kitty corner from their existing garage, and everybody was excited and favorable about that project. I actually used that one as an example for one of these applicants, because I said, this is a good example. This was well received. It was identified really well. The neighbors were informed, and it went through lickety split without so much heartburn like we had tonight. So, but anyway, there's just more of this. It's just there's always one of these going on. It seems like there's always one coming. So. Anyway, so that we'll be discussing 2 of those on Thursday night, both on Morgan Avenue. I don't have any information on one of them at this point, and not enough information on the other one, so hopefully they'll come with their information. And then we do have an advertisement right now on the website for the vacancy on the planning commission. I don't know if there's any applications yet, nothing received. The due date is September 8th, maybe, something like that?
September 8th.
Yep, so that we can then review those applications and probably invite the applicants to the September Planning Commission. But put the word out. We need last time we had several very good applicants, so hopefully we'll have some good candidates here. this
I
time.
missed it. How many candidates have you got so far?
None,
Oh, none?
None.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
I talked to a guy a while back that sounded very interested, but apparently hasn't applied.
Yeah, well, Polkum remind them, of course, it's a ways from September 8th, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's out there, so thank you, Carrie. And then, again, the schedule on that, we'll review that in September, probably October, and then bring forward a recommendation at the November meeting to try and fill that vacancy before the end of the year, anyway. Okay, so that's just an update on that. And then you had a few topics for us to review, maybe make some recommendations on. I have those on the agenda for next week. We'll see what we can get to. But one of them was to review and I'm sure we'll get to this one, but review this proposed zoning procedure around public hearings held at the Planning Commission. Troy had drafted that, and we'll have a group discussion on that, whether we might recommend any changes or other considerations to that document. But I think we still do need an organizational meeting to discuss how that would work, how the mechanics of that would work. So I don't know how we can get that initiated. But
Yeah, we should probably think about doing that. I don't know when people's calendars kind of open up. Any thoughts from either of you two?
Whatever.
September, October,
Hit or miss.
hit or miss?
Yeah.
How about you? Any months that are out? Not for sure yet.
I mean, it'd be nice if maybe we could do something in September. Maybe we could do it the same day as the board meeting or the planning commission meeting, so people are around the same day, something like that.
Sure.
Take an hour or two.
We have no problem, getting special meetings together.
Yeah, no, we don't.
I mean, Carrie might have a problem, but she figures it out.
Yeah, so a third of the board is already there at the, let's see, when is wait a minute. When's your September, meeting?
It would be the 18th.
Oh, the 18th, yeah, I'd be around for that.
Maybe we want to do something before the planning commission meeting or do it before a board meeting. Later in the day, after those working people are done working.
Yeah, I mean, we could either go like September 8th, which is a board meeting, like you say, maybe before the board meeting.
5 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah, or we could go the 18th. Anybody got any?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I have meetings on both those nights.
Oh, okay,
I think Troy is probably your most restrictive
yeah.
calendar.
So we'll just have to pick another maybe a day that doesn't correspond with.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, just whatever works, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll work that out
Yeah, okay.
later.
Something else in my mind there too. No, it's fine. There's just a lot of mechanics behind this and how we can run our meetings and our media and things more effectively, especially for remote attendance too. Because now we have Kim attending our planning commission meetings on Zoom, so she can participate in the meeting. And I may come to that with these board meetings too, that we need to do something like that so people can remotely participate, not just watch. Okay. Let me see. 3 other things. One thing Phil and I had discussed, it might have been mentioned in the board meeting, but we should relook at our township fee schedule because there may be a couple of things that need updating on that. And I think this will be quick for us. We'll cover it at our Thursday meeting next week. One was the grading permit fee. There's some notes in there around it being 1 acre or more disturbed, and that's not really in alignment with the ordinance around grading permits. So we'll take a close look at that and probably just omit that comment from the fee schedule. And then the other one was the fees associated with this application for an accessory structure placed in front of the residence. I believe there's a form now, an application form, right, Carrie? An application form for that, but then it's been kind of implied that the fees are the same as the fees for a variance request. $100 fee and then $1,000
Correct.
escrow, and I think that's kind of consensus, so we'll maybe just amend the fee schedule and then
Okay.
propose that as
I'll
the
forward-
2 changes, right? Yeah?
Yes, and I'll forward the form to you as well, so you can take a.
Okay,
Take a peek
all
at
right, yeah, and maybe I'll just even update the fee schedules. We can go over with the planning commission and make a recommendation, and hopefully we don't miss any anything else, so. So that, we'll cover that, and then there's two more. The data center discussion last month around data centers, whether data centers might be, something that would be an allowed use or a not an allowed use, and what the benefits or risks or concerns might be around a data center. And Kim is actually looking into this a little bit for us too, so. So that's one of our topics for next week. And then this surveillance camera discussion around whether surveillance cameras for like commercial use on cell towers should be something that would be permitted or allowed. So we're gonna kind of try and cover that. So there's a lot to discuss at our meeting next week. We try to keep our meetings down to a couple hours. We'll see what we can get through. But anything else for us?
I can't think of anything offhand, but thank you for those things you're looking into. Those are important considerations.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now, I guess it's time for Chad's moment in the sun. Huh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board, for having me tonight. 2025 Street Improvement Project continues to progress. They've begun Phase 4, which is the Neal 20th Nolan kind of collector north-south roadway system. So they are starting with pretty much removing all of the material under the pavement on Neal and replacing it with gravel. So that operation started today. We're trying to improve some of the traffic control detouring around there based on feedback from the general public and kind of visual driving. But contractors moving along, staying on schedule. As such, they have submitted pay request number 3 for work completed in July. That amount as requested is $742,491.84. That payment is recommended by engineering based on quantities installed in the field. Retained amount is $102,959.91 as per the contract documents. Happy to take any questions from the board regarding the project and do recommend payment for pay request number 3 as submitted.
So are the other previous 3 phases pretty much completely wrapped up, or are there still some loose ends, or how's that?
There are some loose ends. Phase 3 has some shouldering left to be done, specifically on 12th Street. That machine of theirs actually broke down, so they're waiting on a part to replace it. And then Xcel Energy Gas is wrapping up its replacement of their main on what was Phase 1, Omaha, Olean. They hope to be done in the next couple of weeks with the main work and restoration, which would allow the contractor to come in and pave the final lift of pavement and do shouldering and complete restoration in that neighborhood. So there are some miscellaneous odds and ends that we're continuing to work with them on cleaning up efficiently. But large part of it is pretty close to wrap.
Because, yeah, so at our 75th anniversary celebration that we had last week, I got a couple of questions, people asking, why are road construction signs still in place on some of these? And probably the answer is maybe some of the work isn't done on some of those, and they're really going to be coming back to do some more work.
That's correct. There's the potential of that. There's the potential that they did leave signs behind and are done. So I've asked our staff as they kind of do punch list walkthroughs on these areas, the contractor deems themselves complete, to pay attention to where those signs might be and make sure they're getting cleaned up if they're no longer necessary.
Okay. Well, has anybody else got any questions for Chad at this point? If not, I will move that we then approve payment of that current request, payment number 3, $742,491.80, and that we go ahead and pay the contractor that, since the work has been satisfactorily completed and it's been inspected by our engineer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. We'll need a roll call for this.
Chairman Moosberger,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Supervisor Bulow.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for your update, Chad. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate all your work on this.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item would be a couple of things I've got here. This is about 30th Street. So, I actually thought that we had, it sounded like we kind of had an agreement in principle that we would split 30th Street at 30th Street Circle North. And the rationale behind that is, and by the way, the background is that, obviously we invited Baytown to go in with us on a 50% basis to pave that stretch between Oak Green and where 30th dips up into Baytown and becomes entirely Baytown's responsibility. So that stretch there, but they declined to participate, and they may be ruining the day because the bid came in quite a bit lower than we thought it would, and they would have actually had a pretty good deal if they had taken us up on it. But they thought they could do it cheaper or something, I guess, and so they said they didn't want to participate. So then I approached the idea that we ought to do maybe what the state statute envisions, and that is that we split this town line road, at least the common portions of it, into two equal sections. The east section would be 30th Street Circle Northeast to where the road flips up into Baytown. The western section that West Lakeland would take would go from 30th Street Circle North all the way out to Manning. And that way, we have in our section that dip south of the airport that's entirely our obligation. And so it's one contiguous and continuous stretch of road. And then Baytown's exclusive responsibility is that eastern part from Stagecoach, probably maybe it's a half mile or 3/4 of a mile to the west, and that's part of their eastern part. And so we've got two contiguous pieces. Each township has its own contiguous piece, and we thought we had an agreement on that basis. However, Baytown's board met a week ago, and they now make the proposal that we should either even the cost impact. So the eastern part is worse, and we acknowledge that it's in worse condition right now. The eastern part is in worse condition, and so they're saying, well, let's even that cost by moving the location, the split, to Oak Green. And the problem I have with that is that if we decide to split it at Oak Green, we're stuck forever with a much longer stretch of 30th in terms of the common area between our two townships. We're just stuck with that, forever. And that doesn't seem right either. The other proposal they make is that West Lakeland pays Baytown for the difference, the cost difference between the east and west, the costs of the east and west portions over some period of time. And I don't know if Chad had an opportunity to look at this, but I kind of thought, well, let's take a look at a 15-year time horizon and see what the difference would be, because within a 15-year time horizon, we'll be doing a couple of things to the western, assuming we do this split that we're talking about. We'll be doing a couple of things to the western section. We'll be doing a microsurfacing of the far west section south of the airport, and that'll cost us something. We will also do a reclamation, no doubt, of the stretch between Neal and 30th Street Circle North, which would be.
Which one is that?
30th Street Circle North is west of Oak Green Avenue, but it's let's see, where is it? It's around the Children's Farm maybe or something. I'm not sure. Is
that a fancy neighborhood?
It's not real. No, this isn't. These are these are neighborhoods that were developed on either side of, well, at least on the north side of 30th, back in the 70s. So anyway, that's. Okay, 30th Street Bay is west of 30th Street Circle North.
Yes.
So we're proposing that the dividing line should be 30th Street Circle North, because that's exactly half of the common area of 30th. That's where the dividing line should be. And I think Baytown agrees with that, but they just think there should be some money going to them, for the fact that the eastern part of 30th is in worse shape. My point, though, is that my point is that maybe it kind of evens out, because we are going to have to rebuild the western part of 30th Street at some point, probably within the next 15 years. I think our pavement management plan calls for that to happen in 13 years. So I'm saying in a 15-year time horizon, do those costs come close to being equal anyway, or not? And I don't know if you've had a chance to kind of do just a quick, guess at whether that's true, but if not, that's fine, but let me know if you have.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, started the analysis. I'm not complete with it fully. Looking at the maintenance cost for I call it the western third, and the reclaim cost for the eastern third, but haven't dove into the middle section quite yet.
All right, but that's something we can look at, and we can see if it really would make a difference. I think that would be one thing. So what Baytown wants to do, though, they want to have a kind of a working session where the two boards get together and talk about how to divvy this up. And I don't really have an opinion. I mean, I guess we could do that. It's just that we'd want to be careful, I suppose, that we didn't say, in the heat of the moment, yeah, we'll do this, or yeah, we'll do that. I mean, it would be a kind of a thing we'd have to come take these these discussions back and think about them. I mean, I think it's an important thing to do. It's an important thing to get this nailed down because, frankly, our pavement management plan calls for doing some work on the western portion of it next year. And so the sooner we nail down this split, I think the better off both townships will be. And I also think that the statutory scheme that says you split these roads into equal sections is the way to go, because that way we won't have to be coordinating with Baytown every time we want to do something. I mean, do you like the company we're hiring to do potholes? Do you like the company we're hiring to do, striping or something, or crack sealing? And that kind of, back and forth, it's just too tough to coordinate that. I think in recent years, we've been doing potholes in the south half of 30th, and they've been taking care of the north half. That again is a little bit clumsy, I think. So it'd be nice to split these into sections where we know we've got responsibility for this section, they've got responsibility for that section. How we get there, of course, is the question. And they're proposing that we have this kind of joint working session to hear each other out. How do people feel about that?
I think it's overcomplicating it.
It seems like it to me a little bit too, yeah.
If we can't agree, there's some rules, some default, we go to the county.
Goes to the county, yeah.
Well, I think the only thing that is unresolved is they don't like their poorer condition of the east side, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
is there anything that we would do, assuming that they come to the agreement to split it equally, as I agree with you, it should be. But then, I mean, are you saying we don't give them anything because they're taking the poorer condition road? Because eventually ours will
maybe
be
we
the
should-
poorer.
Yeah, well, right. I'm saying over a 15-year time horizon, the cost might be roughly equivalent or pretty close to being equivalent. And if there is some delta, some difference in the cost, maybe we can talk about, who pays whom. First, I'd like to kind of know what that difference is, what that delta is, I mean, that's really seems like step one. Find out if there is a difference over a 15-year time horizon for those two segments of road. There probably will be, because we do have that new section on the west side, that little short strip, between the airport property and Manning is new. And so that's probably going to skew towards us spending a little bit less on the entire chunk. You know what I'm saying? And so there might be a little bit of a difference in cost, but let's see how big it is. And I mean, if they want, that as a, condition of approving this thing, maybe we could consider it. First, we have to find out how big it is, I guess.
Okay.
do
Weren't we just gonna split, because we'd already engineered the reclamation section in this project, and we were gonna split it 50-50 with Baytown, and then we were gonna divide the road and go our merry ways, right?
Well, I think initially we weren't looking down the road, no pun intended, that far. We weren't thinking about a long-term, how do we divvy this up? We just asked them about a year ago, would you be interested in going halvesies with us on fixing up this chunk of road? That's as far as we thought ahead. We didn't really think ahead beyond that.
Okay.
But now they're turning it down, caused us to think ahead and think, okay, we need a global solution for this.
And Troy recommended that too, I think.
Yeah, and the statute recommends it. So I mean, it sure seems like the thing to do, but I guess maybe the next step is to hear from, well, once Chad's had a chance to kind of get an idea what the difference in cost is, we can kind of maybe sit down and consider how we want to proceed. Does that seem
Yeah,
like?
if, I'm happy to go workshop this, but I feel like you have it handled.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, yeah, let's, okay.
I don't think it's that complicated.
Right. Okay, so let's do that. Let's let Chad do his computations, and then we'll talk, and maybe I'll have another conversation with their board chair, Nicole Dahl, and see if we really need the, like you say, need the workshop, and if we really do, we can come back and talk about it some more.
Okay.
Does that sound okay, everybody? Okay, let's do that. All right. Next, briefly, I just want to say that Matt and Dave Schultz did some. They've been looking at street signs, and we got some street signs in the township that are so faded you can't even see what it says, you know, and some street signs that don't have the block numbers on them that they should have, and Dave has kindly volunteered to contact the county to find out what the appropriate block numbers should be on those street signs that are missing block numbers altogether. It's kind of a safety thing, really, as far as emergency vehicles finding the right house and everything. So thank you, Dave, for doing that. And so what I'm going to ask the board, though, is for authorization to authorize the expenditure of, I don't really know what I should ask for. I think they think it's going to cost about $1,500 to do, what is it about 7 street signs or 7 or 8 street signs? And they're mostly in this artisan development, and also some at 17th and Newberry, and there's a couple cul-de-sacs there and so forth. So it's not a real big project, but I think I should probably get board authorization to
Okay.
spend that, because I don't think it's something we've previously authorized.
Had our Golden Bridge, I was trying to spend $1,000 a year on signs.
Okay.
Part of Golden Bridge.
Okay, and this is a little over that, so I don't know what I should ask for. Maybe I should ask for 2,000 just to
Yep.
redo some street signs right now. So I'll move that we authorize that for replacing some street signs that are either faded or do not have complete information or are illegible for some reason.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any thoughts, John?
I think we ought to bill the developer of Artisan for those signs.
Tell me why. Why do you
They're
think that?
defective.
Are they?
Yes.
And is that why they faded so quickly?
Yeah.
Okay,
They're cheap signs.
yeah. I don't know if it's too late, though. It might be too late.
Already accepted, there was a 1-year warranty on that road, and we've already accepted the road.
But I hear your point is,
Yeah.
we really, hopefully,
Wouldn't hurt to send them a letter.
next development, we should make sure they give us quality signs.
That's the first development I know of that they let the developer pick the signs out and pay for them.
Oh, okay. How long ago was that?
10 years ago.
10 years ago? Oh,
Yeah.
wow, they really didn't last very long. But the warranty on them, I suppose, is, you say we had 1 year. Well, anyway, any further discussion? All those in-
Thanks for doing that, though.
Yes, Dave, thank you. All those in favor? Oh, no, we got to do a roll call, don't we?
Yes.
Sorry.
Supervisor Buelow,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Chairman Musburger.
Aye. Okay, let's see. Okay, I guess the next item on the agenda is our 2025-19 resolution accepting donations for the township's 75th anniversary celebration. And you got something for us?
Yeah, just a little bit more money trickling in from Miller Excavating and some cash donations that were received at the party. However, I have an amended or a revised resolution to hand out to you because there was $20 more that was given to me after this was typed up. So
Okay.
it was $150 cash, not $120. So you can scratch the one you have, and here's the one. So more money came in.
Okay.
And I already put a copy on the back.
Oh, I see.
Reflects that. So if you are in favor of
Thank you.
accepting those,
It's kind of a controversial thing, but
Donations.
I'm, what's that?
We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve this resolution accepting the donations.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And, you know, at this point, I should take a moment just to thank all these people who worked
So
so
good.
hard on that 75th anniversary celebration. Several of them sitting right here. I can see them. And thank you very much. And you, all you guys. I mean, the thing exceeded my wildest expectations. I couldn't believe. A, how many people showed up. B, how the people were enjoying, you know, meeting their neighbors and making and remaking acquaintances and everything. And it was just a wonderful community event, kind of a community bonding event.
they were hungry.
They
And we-
were hungry.
And we had great food,
Did we run out?
thankfully. No, almost. We ran out of cake pretty, about halfway. Almost ran out of ice cream. I think the food itself, we barely had enough. So we were getting
Great job.
close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Getting close. Yeah, Tony was estimating.
At least 1,000
people. It was hard to say.
Yeah,
It was really hard to gauge.
wild.
but-
it is. It was
Yeah.
great.
Great
And the
Good job.
car show. Oh,
Mm. Oh,
that was fun. Did you, I don't know, you guys, did you see that? What, did you come? to the-
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay. Did you see the car show?
Yeah.
Oh, man, they had some beautiful automobiles there. Well, the whole thing was just great fun. And so I thank all the volunteers that worked on it. Once again. Marion's got a comment. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did. See, that's on that.
Marion.
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
No, I did.
It's in the
So
weeds.
let's go back to that agenda item, Marion. Yeah, why don't you? Just so people who are watching on YouTube can see it, hear it.
People will misinterpret that.
I did have a chance to review the agreement, and I really honestly didn't have any issues with what was listed in the agreement, though I would want some further clarification around, and this may be just offline, not necessarily in the agreement, as to who the board liaison is and what do I need to get approval for in order to do things. I think if you were at the event on Tuesday last week, I had already put together a poster on the noxious weeds of biggest concern. I've already talked to the county person that has been main contact in the past and spent some time with him rediscussing. I've worked on a couple of letters to send out to residents where some of the wild parsonage is especially bad. I've also spent some time with Matt. So am I in the position where I need to get approval from the board liaison and from the board in order to do that? I mean, I would want you guys to approve the letters necessarily, and I'm not sure who that letter should come from. Should it come from one of the board members, or can it come from me as the assistant weed inspector? So these are some of the questions that are more like really the logistics of how we do this.
Well, you know, I would think that you should have some latitude, you know, as to to whom you send this letter. I mean, it's your judgment.
And just so you know that my conversation with the county contact that I have, it's using some of the templates, the letters that they have sent out and recommended. So I'm not making up anything, you know,
Right.
completely on my own. But this is where I would just need clarification as to how much latitude and freedom do I have in doing some of these things in the name of the board and the township versus checking everything that I am doing.
It's a good question, and I would think form letters, maybe we should have council take a look at before we employ them. I don't know if you think it's necessary, but it strikes me that might be.
Certainly could give it a quick look. If it's been through the county, they're probably okay.
Yeah,
But maybe not though. Either. You know, and Mr. Chair and board, just So this form agreement, well, this agreement is based on a form that I've used for mowing and tree removal and things like that. So the idea is of a board liaison is just to have some connection back with the board.
Correct.
Not to say that every little thing necessarily. It's the idea, I think, of building some comfort between your position and the town board, or at least through that liaison.
Correct.
And to say, "Ooh, hang on, that needs to come back to the board. I can't okay that on my own." Or, you know, I think once you build that relationship, it's like, yeah, go ahead. You know, I mean, where I'm comfortable with you doing this without having to check with me on every single thing. But I think it's just trying to build that connection.
Okay.
Not
then-
to say you go off running wild, but I mean, that's frankly kind of what, there's that check-in.
Right. And my other concern is, and when I looked at the indemnification section, if I am doing something as a representative for the town and a resident is really upset about it or whatever, how personal is the liability that I need to carry, or if any, versus the township? That's the one thing that, you know, because sometimes no matter what you, especially if you come to a situation where the owner has not addressed it, by state statute, we are allowed to go on the property and take care of the problem. I just want to make sure that there's my personal liability versus the township liability, and that to me wasn't real clear in the indemnification section.
So, Mr. Chair, I
Yeah.
can speak to that. So the way this agreement is set up, it's treating you as an independent contractor. So you would be on your own to defend yourself if someone were to sue.
But along those lines, would it be true, I would imagine that the way this would work is that Marion might tell our mowing contractor, hey, there's some wild parsnip at this location that isn't being taken care of, and I think you should go in and spray it or something, you know? I mean, she wouldn't be coming out there with a chemical tank and spraying it, right? I mean, you know.
Right. And I'm not saying, I haven't really thought through what the scope of your personal liability might be. I'm just saying that you're not an employee, so the town wouldn't have a duty to indemnify you, like you would if a supervisor got sued for something, then the town is obligated to indemnify that person by statute. Being an independent contractor means kind of you're on your own to defend yourself. Or if you do something, you do take a tank out there and start spraying stuff you're not supposed to be spraying, you're not licensed for. I mean, just something crazy. And there's suits and the town gets sued over that, then you'd be in a position to indemnify the town for that.
You know, and this might actually be, just as a practical matter, you know, as a matter of, you know, procedure. I expect this won't happen very often, that you're going to identify a situation that the township has to remedy because the landowner isn't doing it. Or do you have a thought about that?
It has not yet happened when I was doing that previously. It's happened a couple times at a county level, I know. But generally you also get the county person involved at the time. And then I would think in this situation, being the assistant, I would have to include the board in this, and the decision of going on that would come from you
Would
guys.
come from the board, right? That would be what I would think, I think you'd probably insulate yourself from that.
Right.
Is just
If it
to-
came to that.
if
But
it
I mean,
ca-
my general approach is to talk to the person, send
Yeah.
a letter, you know, whichever, if I can't get to the person, then send a letter. But that would have to be, you know, the letter approved by you guys so that it is official, so that
So
there is
we're
some
approving the
authority
form
behind
letter, you're sending it out kind of at your discretion according to what you think. But when it comes to actually physically entering somebody's property and spraying, maybe that's when you involve the liaison, whoever that's gonna be, and have that liaison direct our, mowing or spraying contractor to do that work, so that you're not,
Yep.
directly doing
Yep.
that. That might be
Yep.
a way to
Yep.
resolve that, yeah.
So other than that, I didn't really see any major issues, but like I said, I just wanted clarification on, do I need to check with you guys on everything I do or not, you know? And then also the whole indemnification and liability there, so. So I don't see any other issues around this at this point.
Okay, so, but it is gonna be important to decide who that board liaison, should be. Should we do that now, or?
Yeah, isn't it part of the right of way?
Well, yeah, I
Bridge
mean,
mowing.
what are you down for, John? Are you down for some kind of are you down for weed inspector? I can't remember. Do we have the?
It is John.
It is John. Okay. So you're the weed inspector. So maybe you want to be the liaison. I mean, it seems to kind of make sense. Almost, you know what I mean? That the weed inspector would be the liaison that she would communicate with. And are you comfortable taking that on? Yeah. Okay. And you kind of understand what we're trying to do. I mean, we're trying to control these invasives, and for the most part, I guess mostly your involvement is going to be trying to get folks to control these
Correct.
invasive species on their properties, and
Correct.
we're going to be taking care of it on our right of way, but
Correct. My,
we also-
my concern is we're a little bit past
yeah,
the season that we should have addressed the wild parsnips much earlier, because for the most part, a lot of them have gone to seed now. And they're actually those that haven't quite gone to seed are now at a flowering standpoint. And my concern is that some of it is so tall that there's a particular driveway off of 30th Street that it's almost waist high or higher. And a person going in there with a lawnmower that is not in a controlled cab is going to have exposure to, so mowing is not an option. So I feel like we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, and it may end up that next year is a bigger issue. And probably the only thing they could do right now is to spray.
Yeah.
And the website does have recommendations on spraying and what to use. And I think that's probably the only option for some of the residents at this point in time to address that.
okay. So yeah, the sooner we get going, the better. So, if you wouldn't mind shipping the form letters that you have created with based on county templates to somebody, maybe Carrie, and she can move it up and send it on to Troy or something for just a quick review and approval, and then you can start using them right away.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, I just, feel badly. We're a little bit,
Yeah, I know, we're a little late
Behind,
to the game, but
we'll have to address it and continue on with that. So, okay, great. Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks for your help. Okay, let's see. Okay, that resolution. So then old and new business, has anybody got any, old or new business to bring up? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking for a ride home. The reason I was late, I went about a mile from home with my pickup and it wouldn't go forward anymore. So I made
That's
it.
always a bad sign.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it
I
went
made-
reverse.
I made it a half a mile closer to home in reverse. It went in reverse and then it started smoking and I thought I better quit.
That's another bad sign.
And then I hitchhiked here.
You hitchhiked. I'll give you a ride home.
Okay.
I'll take care of it. Okay, the other thing is, I should mention a couple things that Dan Killo couldn't be here, but he said he did get the AC replaced, the air conditioner, the one that's been broken for years. I think it covers the vestibule and maybe Carrie's office back there. And that's been replaced by Lakeland Heating and Air, I think. And sounds like they got a pretty good price on that, so that's good news.
What's a pretty good price?
I don't know what the price is, but it was he shopped around and it was the lowest price, and he's a local guy, so I love that. And let's see what else. The metal sign, our metal sign has been repaired by Rutger Welding, thanks to Mark Vodova. Kudos to Mark, and my gratitude to Mark. He hauled the sign to Rutger Welding in his trailer, and they welded it right on the trailer, I think, and then you brought it back and it's leaning up against the building now. What's that? Well, yeah, I lifted it must weigh 300 pounds. I lifted a corner and it was about all I could do, And now I've got a backache. I'll send you the chiropractor bill. Huh? Yeah, it's a heavy thing. Crazy. Anyway, it's done, and now we're ready for the guys to come and rebuild the pillars. And now they've got a sign that they can measure and they can be precise with their construction of those pillars. And so it's all moving ahead on schedule. I think around the 20th of August is when they're supposed to be starting work on the pillars and the electrical work. So that's all underway. And another unfinished or old business thing, John brought a bag of asphalt covered rocks to what meeting was it? June meeting maybe?
Yeah.
June meeting.
They're in my pickup now.
They're in your pickup, which is burning up. And you were saying the road was shedding. Now I went out there and looked at the road after you did that, and there were a couple of small potholes, and I could see the little pieces of asphalt covered gravel in those small potholes. Those have been patched now. And I drove through again after the patching happened in July, I think it was, and I can't see any shedding. But if you think there still is some,
Oh, yeah.
we'll take a look at it. We can't look in the dark now, but we'll take a look maybe tomorrow and see if there's shedding.
When I walked my dog today, I picked up another handful.
Another handful. Well, you're gonna have to show me where it is because I couldn't find it. Once they patch the potholes have that stuff in them, you know.
Yeah.
But once they patch
This
them,
stuff isn't from the bottom.
it's not. Okay. Well, we'll take a look. All right. Any other unfinished business?
Yeah, roosters. Greenwood Trail has a rooster problem, and gotten a lot of requests from residents to outlaw roosters in our town. So if we want to entertain that, it's one thing. Otherwise, we should enforce our code.
Which what says like no public
No
nuisance or
nuisance,
something?
yeah. So I don't know how we want to handle. I assume situations like this will be increasing as accessory structures and people move in, and more people, more problems. More roosters, more noise. So I don't know how you two feel about next steps or.
Well, I suppose maybe the thing, one of us should go out there and see if there really are 17 roosters crowing all the time. And if there are, we should address it. We should talk to the landowner who's keeping 17 roosters and, you know, see if they'll voluntarily, call some of them. I mean, I don't think it's healthy to have 17 roosters for the other, for any of the chickens, right? That's bad.
No.
But as far as outlawing roosters, I don't think that seems kind of drastic to me.
I think so. It's just because some of our residents have large parcels and others don't. So I think it's more enforcing the nuisance.
nuisance
I mean, we're pretty
aspect.
specific on the dog barking. Pretty concise on that regulation.
Does that regulation only relate to dogs, or is it?
Yeah,
really
that's
more
dog
broadly?
barking, but in our chicken ordinance, there's something about noise and odors that need to stay on your property. And it's not as specific as the dog barking, but it's pretty clear.
Well, all right. I'll go out and look at the roosters.
And we'll write a letter if they don't, and then send the sheriff over there.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works either. How do we? Constable?
So, Mr. Chair and Board, usually how it works is you look, have a conversation, see if you can get some resolution there. If it does look like there's a violation, then normally that gets talked to. I don't know if you've set it up to have like your inspector involved.
Which inspector?
Well, your building inspector.
Oh, building inspector.
Not all towns do that, but some do. Well, they'll agree as part of their services to do an initial, go out there and, do a formal review and issue a letter if there's a violation. Again, that usually has more to do with building and land use sort of things, but I mean, this is somewhat close. But usually there's a letter or two at the town level, and then it would typically come to me. I would review it. If I agree there's a violation, I'd write a letter. And then if you still don't get compliance, then it comes back to the board to decide whether or not you want to institute a legal action to require them to come into compliance.
Okay. All right.
I think Isaac would be our rooster inspector.
I don't know. I don't think that's part of his.
I know.
His thing. Okay, well, we'll,
He does do enforcement for Denmark.
oh, does he?
Yeah.
That
I
type-
don't know about roosters necessarily, but I mean, land use complaints, they're using their property in a way that they shouldn't be, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, maybe I'll have a chat with him too. All right. Any other old or new business?
I make a motion.
Oh, well, we can't yet.
Oh.
We haven't had our public comment,
Oh,
3-minute limit, public comment period. Is there anybody who wishes to make a public comment? Oh,
So nothing to do with the planning commission, so I thought I'd keep my comments separate. But there was an resolution passed in March to have a recognition event this year, and there's a budget for this year and next year. And before you know it, the year's gonna be gone, and we won't have had it. So we need to plan a recognition event. What do you think? Yes. And maybe we need to consider how great this party was last week, that maybe we got to keep some momentum going because the township really liked that party. And I think the party committee is going to give a report probably next meeting. They're meeting tomorrow again. Yeah.
oh, good.
So anyway, I mean, think about what we want to do next year. The budget, I think, for next year is $1,500. It's not 10,000. So that'll buy ice cream and cake, but
Yeah.
not the caterer and band. So,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of contributions from within the community too. But anyway, that's one thing. But this recognition event, we need to, a couple of us maybe need to figure something out. Who's coming to that event while we're doing it? If we want to go to a local establishment or do something here. Who wants to?
Did you-
I'll work on that with somebody if somebody
I
wants
say
to.
the celebration committee now becomes the recognition.
Okay, well,
committee.
maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow, but
Or maybe a few.
Too
we should get
soon.
something scheduled for this fall.
Mark's
to have.
ready. Okay.
And Betsy retired, you know, we need some recognition for our wonderful Betsy. She's been here for so many years.
She said she's good. But
So, okay, we'll talk about it at our meeting tomorrow then, maybe. Get something figured out. Yeah.
Well, you've done such a nice job. You're kind of stuck with
So,
it.
yeah,
now.
we'll keep the fun rolling. And then, you know, there was a history document that Steve Johnson worked so hard on. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at that. It's a 25-page document, History of the Township. And there's a group of people, I think, that are very interested in carrying on with that to build more history records for our township. And I think Jenny was gonna put a link on the township website because residents would like to see it. Yeah, it's a 25-page Word document. Talks about when the farmers seceded from Lakeland and became West Lakeland Township. There's some photos. So.
I was just thinking, what about a little, once you have your meeting, what do you think about putting something on the website with photos of the event?
yeah, kind of a recap.
Yeah, of how it went and the winners, perhaps a door prize winner.
There was 51
there-
door prize winners.
Yeah, it's a
And only
long
3 of
list.
them were present to
Maybe
win.
it's a long list.
Yeah.
I'll do a link.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah. I should say Jenny would do the link. That's right.
Those being recognized at the recognition event is getting larger because there's a lot of people that are doing things to help out, whether it's the party or the gardening or so many things. So we got to think about that too, right? Yeah, we might need more money.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody else want to make a comment? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
I make a motion.
Move.
Adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Your